stole these
Just because you think purple looks good on you doesn't mean it's going to look good on me.
Make it red.
Wait, hang on. Not which camera. There we go. No, I don't want green.
How's that?
Can it be brighter?
Yeah, it's because I'm standing in the middle of it.
Well, okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, the colour looks fine. Yeah. There we go. Excellent. There you go. Carl's the technician. Making things happen. All right. I'm not
Why
even...
are your colours... What's going on here?
What's... Well, hang on. First, we're missing the middle
Oh, yes,
right.
this one.
That's what's missing. It's cheese, Gromit. That's what we're missing. It's cheese.
Oh, wait, so you're waiting for me to turn it on. Hang on.
Well, I don't know where the button is.
There we go.
If I touch things, they break.
That's better.
I can't even get around to getting my hair done as often as I'm supposed to get it done. You don't want me touching anything that matters. I am incapable.
All right, let's put these on.
Yeah, pretend like we know what we're doing.
We look way more professional when we do this. There we go.
It's still a low bar, but more professional.
People
yes.
go, oh wow, this must be a serious podcast.
Must
They're
be
wearing
a serious
headphones.
podcast. You notice this is my little act of rebellion. I know that the end of my original merch is coming.
Yeah.
My whole new look and everything's, and I'm just like, no, I need to wear my Good People Break Bad Laws on the show one more time.
Do you know what? Because I've been doing all this work for you to get you looking smart, I'm like, well, now I can justify my own update to my wardrobe.
Oh.
So I'm like, do I go the whole newsreader route? Do I wear like blouses and shirts?
G and G's wallet, I'm so sorry.
G's wallet.
I'm so sorry.
This is the Carlz J Soda wallet. Thank
Oh,
you
is it?
very
Okay,
much.
all right,
Yeah. No,
You're a strong, independent woman who don't need no man's wallet.
I was browsing online as you do because I knew like Black Friday sales were coming.
Dangerous.
And so I was like, I'll wait till then. So I've had all these things in my cart and I keep looking. I'm like, come on, give me a discount. Give me a discount. Give me a discount.
Does anyone ever pay full price for anything now? Like, have prices
You'd have
just
to be an
become
idiot.
meaningless?
Yeah, prices mean nothing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they were only ever worth the price that they're on sale for.
Correct.
That's the whole
Correct.
point.
Yeah.
So if you're buying them, so I'll give you an example. Australian brand Sass and Bide, they got bought out by Myer, a while ago now. I'd say over 10 years ago, and the two original owners have well and truly gone. And Myer have spectacularly run it into the ground.
Yeah.
But they've still got the prices of the old Sass and Bide.
Yeah, okay.
And so, I'm talking a blazer's $500.
Right.
But give it 30 days, it'll be on sale 30% off. And then you can get it for like $250 because they keep dropping the prices down. And then it's like, take an extra 20% off.
Yeah. Excuse me. Myer used to be the place where everything was too expensive. When I was a kid, you went to Myer if you had money.
Myer used to be a beautiful department store. So did David Jones.
What I find now, though, is I walk into Myer, everything's always on sale, which is a bad sign. And then the price ends up being even less than what the sticker said.
Yeah.
There's some other thing that, oh, no, there's this other whatever.
Clearance,
and now you get,
reduced.
I'm like, how are you guys making money?
There can't be.
Yeah.
They can't be.
Gosh.
Before we get into a conversation and a tangent, we did not sing Tangent Time the last two podcasts.
I'm sorry.
People are very upset about it.
I'm sorry. I forget to warm up my vocal cords when I'm in the car on the way down here, and I don't want to give you a second-rate rendition.
The whole podcast is a tangent. When we actually get to the news, that's the tangent. They're actually talking about news.
Yeah. We start with the tangent. Can we start with a bit of this?
Yeah, we can.
All right. So this is some of your wonderful handiwork. I'm going to try them on, which means I'm going to take my headphones off.
I've never seen you with a hat.
There's a really good reason for that, and you're about to learn what that is. Yeah, this is not.
You're going to look like Vanilla Ice or
those
something.
Those of you that are listening to the show, you're lucky because you don't have to see me. Do I do it with the cardboard still in?
No, take that out.
All right, here we go. Too small.
Too small. Okay.
Oh goodness.
I don't think you're designed for a flat peak.
I am. No.
It's very hard to pull off.
I'm a curved peak kind of guy. Hey, so you're too busy laughing. Give me back my camera. What?
It doesn't look bad. Can you give it a crunch? Give it a good crunch.
Yeah.
You look like my dad in the 80s. All you need is a moustache.
None of that is a compliment. Your dad in the 80s with a moustache. None of that is boosting my ego. Okay?
You need a bushy... And he used to have the Ray-Bans aviators too.
Listen.
It doesn't look terrible.
I don't know how to wear a hat.
You got to give it more peak. Give it more flex. Because I think it's...
Right, listen. Do I need to bathe it? Put it in...
Yeah. I don't know.
steam it or something first.
The flat peak is a tough one to pull off.
I look, the people like G can pull off a flat cap.
Yeah.
I
think it's got to do with
that feels way better.
That looks way
and
better.
the scruffy hair sticking out the side and everything. It's a great look.
So when it comes to hats, there are so many different types. See, look from the side; it looks quite good.
Okay, I couldn't see it because in order to see it from the side, I have to not be looking at it's
like
side eyes. Exactly.
No,
All
I
right.
reckon that looks right.
Now,
Give us the other one.
So this is one of the original designs, which I think is great.
Yeah.
And I was wearing this as a t-shirt the other day, just walking around, and it still gets a lot of looks. Like there's still this one and my original history one, or my words, your design.
Do you know what I like about it? Is it's kind of, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
If you don't know your history, you do not know what that means.
Yeah, and I love not explaining that one.
Yeah.
It's like if you get it, you get it. If you don't, well, I'm not going to explain it to you. Mind you, I have plenty of times online. But now this one, going to be honest, I'm less convinced.
You don't like the curve of the
I don't
text.
like the curve of
That's
the
fine.
text.
I
And-
love the colours though.
Well, the colours are very striking, and I love, where is it there? Little TF embroidered, beautiful 3-dimensional embroidery. But let's see how it looks.
Colour-wise, I think it's nice, but yeah, I agree.
Da-da-da-da-da.
The arc text isn't working.
All right.
That actually looks kind of cool on
Have a
you.
look. There we go.
Would you wear a trucker hat?
A trucker style.
Yeah.
What defines it as a trucker? I don't
Mesh
even know.
at the back. So it's panel of material here,
Yeah,
and then
the front.
from there behind it's all mesh. It's meant to be like easier to breathe on your head because your hair gets so hot.
Yeah, I wouldn't object to it. I just don't wear a lot of hats. I need collars under the chin to define my chin.
Colour-wise, I
Colour-wise,
reckon that's cool. But yeah, I agree. The arc doesn't work.
The arc doesn't work, but that's okay. That's an easy fix. The TF is lovely. This one here, lovely. TF on the back of this one, very, very cool.
And in more exciting news, FedEx have messaged me. The rest of the samples are on board for delivery. So
Today.
yeah, like any minute now.
So we could be like, this could be like a stop the presses.
Yeah, literally,
Kind of
I'll run down
at any moment in the show.
Yeah.
The samples for all the t-shirts, the hoodies,
Yeah.
and the dildos could arrive at any minute.
We weren't meant to tell them about the dildos. That's for
Well,
later.
we have to market them at some point.
Yeah, well.
I mean, look, if Abby Chatfield can do it, everybody drink.
It wasn't me. Now, before we do any more talking, my boyfriend has told me that we need to get into the topics and tell everyone what the topics are before we go off track
Wow.
and start talking about
Are you
everything
whipped
else.
much? Huh?
Yeah.
Just being bossed
He's
around
like,
by
you
your
need to
boyfriend?
tell people because
Being
they'll get
bossed around by
bored
your boyfriend?
and they won't watch the podcast, so they need to know what you're going to talk about.
Well, have we got a show for you?
We do. There's, as always, there is a million tabs open.
There's actually some really good stuff happening. I'm really pleased. This last month or so, I feel like the mix of news versus, hey, that's all right, news has really improved. I can hear the beeping of a truck.
Is that?
I don't know. I can hear the beeping of a truck. This is not a soundproof studio.
Let me
So
have a look
just
at
bring
our
up
surveillance cameras.
Your Ring cameras and see. Are we about to get a delivery?
No, not yet.
What's that noise?
That's the wind on the doorbell.
Oh, it sounded like someone like drum rolling.
No, it's the wind.
I was like, someone's giving us a dramatic effect here just to add to the suspense. I didn't know we had the budget for that.
To be honest, I'm really mad that when all this youth crime stuff happened, I didn't start taking shares in like Eufy and Ring and all that because
gosh, their
can you imagine how much they're making right now?
Well, speaking of youth crime, that is one of our topics
That
today.
is. So this was the first one that I had on my screen. We won't talk about it right now.
Smooth operator. Smooth
But
segue.
I'll just so you guys see what we do. These are all the tabs. And if we get to them, which we won't, but we'll try. So obviously adult time for violent crime, a little bit of a change from Queensland.
18 months after Chris Fully led the way on that one.
Yeah. But remember, a week ago, Melbourne was safe.
No, that's right.
And there was
that's right.
no crime crisis.
And also, by the way...
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I gotta go.
Oh!
I gotta go.
Oh, it's happening! It's happening! Ladies and gentlemen, Topher merch samples have arrived from 1/3 of the way around the world. And Carly has now run out of the studio in a tizzy. I don't know how many there are. I don't even know if she's going to be able to get them all upstairs by herself or not. But you, our beloved viewers watching live right now, you are going to see these merch samples at the exact same time that I do. I haven't seen these yet. Oh, that was a thump. If that was a parcel being dropped on the floor, this is a yikes. So Carly's been working hard on designs, colours, all kinds of stuff. And based on the samples that we're about to see after we finish recording today, we're going to sit down and have a look at everything and make some decisions, and orders will be going out either tonight or tomorrow. Hey, oh, that's a tiny little box. Is that?
There's 3 more boxes to come, so this is one
Oh,
box.
okay. All right. So, okay, because we're looking at different suppliers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is box 1 from supplier 1.
And is this from the supplier that you like more?
We will soon find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Some suppliers communicate better than others.
They do. They do. So.
All right,
me
ladies and
get my
gentlemen, now we get a drum roll.
Timothy.
So all of the parcels are out for delivery today,
They are all out for delivery.
and yet they're not all on the same truck.
No, that's what I said to him. I was like, is it just the one? He's like, yeah, just the one. I'm like, oh, okay.
But they're all on UPS
FedEx.
or FedEx. So same company, same destination, but on different trucks.
Yep.
That makes so much sense.
And it was actually a FedEx coloured truck. I don't see that up very
Yeah,
often.
yeah, not just like an Uber, an
Yeah.
old beat up Toyota Camry. Yeah. Okay, they have definitely stuffed it in
What
there.
if like
What if
a
it's
brick
crap?
of cocaine came out? They're like, oh wait, you went to
What if
that
it's
one.
crap and we would just be
Well,
holding them up
that's
in
the-
front of everybody and just
that's
be
the
like, oh
thing.
yeah,
What
we
if
have
they
some
are
really shitty merch coming your way.
All right, this is. I think this is the supplier I wanted.
Okay, so these are the ones that we're really hoping are good enough
So this is a
because
hoodie.
this is a supplier that talks to you and actually communicates with you effectively.
For those who don't know, I did this for 10 years. So
Yeah.
I'm well versed with dealing with manufacturing, and there's things I look for.
That actually
And-
look, even the fabric just looks nice.
Do you know? Okay, so can I tell you something?
Okay.
When I did this,
Yeah.
I'm very biased and I'm very fussy with fabric.
Uh huh.
And-
As you should be if you run a company like that.
And I'm like, if we're making merch for people, like regardless of the fact that, you know, you're making merch because obviously it helps support the show, whatever.
Yeah.
I want people to want to wear it.
Yeah, 100%.
I want it to wear well.
100%. Yep.
And I still have, to this day, my company's been closed for almost 6 years.
Yeah.
People texting me going, I still wear this.
Yeah, nice.
I want you guys to have this stuff forever. Like, I'm like, if you're spending $130 on a hoodie,
Yeah.
you should have that
What a bargain.
for years.
We're charging $600, aren't we?
Well, so now we're a luxury brand.
That's right. We're going to be right
Oh.
alongside Prada.
Oh, yes.
Okay, hang on. Let's get that camera on you.
Can we see it? Yes.
That's pretty.
Oh, wait. The camera's there, you dickhead. I'm like, where's the camera? There.
Yeah, so that's a lovely use
Feel
of
it.
the two different blue tones.
Feel it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, hang on.
That feels lovely.
auto. We're vision switching our own show.
This
here.
was not planned, by the way, but
No,
FedEx
these were
came.
meant to be here on Monday. Oh, that's nice.
Doesn't that feel good?
Even the ribbing on the wrist feels great. Now, I saw a couple of nice touches. That's a cool touch on top of the hood. That's the top of the hood. So when it's hanging backwards,
You got a TF.
you got a TF hanging down the back. That's awesome.
I love that gradient history. You fought me on that one a bit.
So this one I now approve of.
Yeah.
The one where it goes to white. I
Yeah.
don't.
So I wanted to try both just to see
Yeah.
because so this was my query,
then
whether
blue-
or not it would come out too muddy, and I'm pretty happy with it.
That's
so
a good color match. Their color match is nice between
Pantones, bro.
between the text.
Pantones.
Oh, but no. See, what you don't know is that I did a full merch line for Drive Go-Karting, the go-karting business that failed because of all the cost of construction coming out of COVID, and we had products ready to go. And I went to China. I dealt with the suppliers.
Yeah.
I did all that stuff. Freaking nightmare. And getting them to match a Pantone. You think that would be simple? They couldn't do it.
you needed a Carl's J soda.
I needed an angry white woman
Yeah.
for them to be like the she-devil, be afraid.
There's two things I care about. One is their communication, because obviously if it's like it's hard to communicate, you're gonna have heaps of problems. But then the other one is I really care about fabrication. I care so deeply about fabric.
Okay, can I
So-
point out a detail that I've only just spotted
What?
here? The inside of the hoodie
Yes.
is fully lined with the
Yes.
same material. So your head is not on the fluffy
Fleece.
stuff. It's not on the fleece. It's a full double layer. That's going to be a super warm hood.
That's
That
like
feels
quality.
fantastic.
That is what we call quality.
Yeah, and this stitching.
And the draw cord is sewn in so it doesn't come out in the wash.
Thank God.
Yeah. And they're not too long so that you like get your neck caught.
And metal thingamybobs.
Yeah.
These do have a name, but I don't remember what it is. Carlz.
Do you trust me now?
Well, no wonder we're charging $14,000 per garment. I mean, that makes sense now that I see the quality of it.
Should we look at the T? Oh, hang
Okay.
on. Was that another one? Wouldn't it be funny?
Wouldn't it be funny?
Oh, no, it's not.
Ah, that's a shame.
It's an old notification.
All
Okay. And then this one was a bit of a curveball for Topher's audience. But I thought this was cool.
Yeah. Think free. Okay, so hang on. Let's go across. Think free. Now, that's, again, the curve onto the sleeve.
So this is a very streetwear hoodie, streetwear style t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then on the front we have Topher.
Topher Field.
I think on a buff looking dude, that's going to look good.
Yeah, but not on me.
No,
obviously.
But we'll see. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
if you want the curve, you just do straight printing and put it across my belly. The curve just takes care of itself. Right?
The curvature of the earth will take care of itself.
I mean, think free. Obviously, that's my tagline. I sign off my videos with that. I sign off. Oh, that's nice fabric again.
It's a heavy one that we can go a lighter cotton. That's a thicker cotton.
And that is a beautiful ribbing in the neck, the stitching.
Yeah, they're well made.
Yeah,
I'm very happy.
These are.
And for those of you who
genuinely
hate crew
nice.
necks, because I also hate a crew neck, this is not tight.
Yeah.
And this is a wider crew. So it's not like...
Yeah, so I've got Sharon, you'll be pleased. You'll be pleased. Hang on, let's go back to auto. I've got someone who's been asking me, when are you getting V-necks? When are you getting V-necks? Sharon, you'll be pleased to know these are crew necks that won't choke you in the same way that crew necks do. Obviously, it's still not a V-neck.
No.
But it's not going to choke
V-necks
you in the same way.
Unattractive.
I hate the way they shift as they age, as they loosen.
Yeah.
And again, I want my clothes to last. I'm stingy.
I love these. I would say this is a heavier cotton. I feel like we need to go down in GSM just a tiny bit, but other than that. But then this one I love too.
Yeah, that's great. That's nice. Let's go back to
Can
you.
you see it?
Yep.
Am I?
Think free, Topher Field down the bottom. See, that use of think free, just in simple, straight, bold text, I like. When I think of the think free...
How's your silhouette?
Well, look, if I'd have known that you were like James Bonding me with this thing, I would have stood up
That
straighter.
looks so freaking good.
It looks amazing. I got to admit, it looks amazing.
And then so every sample is totally different just to see how they look. But I quite like the little logo on the pocket.
Yeah.
As in like the breast.
So can you flip that around again? Show everyone the back.
Everyone who's listening to this is going to be like, show us.
Can I just say, all that's missing from that silhouette is the cigar.
Oh yeah, we can add a cigar.
Just a cigar and a bit of smoke. I mean, you could literally just reverse that silhouette, print the silhouette with the cigar and a bit of smoke added, and I reckon that'd be a design in and of itself.
Yeah, so there's
awesome.
a t-shirt coming today that is the cigar and the whiskey glass.
Now that design again, the more street ones, I'm not convinced by. Which is funny. I would have thought that actually, because in my head, it's like head towards the KSCY.
Yeah.
Near in Pasadena, like head towards that kind of streetwear. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I like your kind of really clean stuff. I mean,
It's almost like I know what I'm doing.
Well, listen, I wouldn't go that far. Let's not get carried away. But that is really and this feels nice.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with this.
It is a winter t-shirt. You're right.
Yeah, it's a bit heavy.
Probably need to just go down a little bit because that's going to get warm in summer.
But that's easy stuff. Like as long as we like the fit, and our fit model is one G-man.
Yes.
He will try it on and make sure the large works.
Okay, so now that we're talking about weight loss and the fact that G is a skinny mini, I have a bit of a bone to pick with you.
Hang on 2 seconds. We have not gone through the topics, and he's going to be so mad at me.
We were interrupted by a delivery.
Okay.
A Black Swan event came and intercepted our plans.
All right. So quickly, before you tell me why you're mad at me, because I'm sure the list is long, we only had 3 hours. So let's pretend to do the podcasty thing. All right. So adult time for violent crime.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Got it. And I've got insufferable face. And then trans men or trans women.
Screen so people can see.
Sorry. Yeah, we can. Trans women.
Oh, this is amazing. The whole trans thing is over.
Truly, but there's going to be the bitter clingers. This one's my favourite.
This is a great comment. Let's get to it later. Not now.
ABC Dodge's review of Four Corners Trump edit.
Now, this is really interesting because of what's happening with the BBC and the lawsuit and everything else. We'll get to that.
So I've got the BBC one here.
Yep.
And then I think we talked about this Monday, but the native title claim.
Yep. There's no slippery slope here. Don't worry about it. It won't affect you. Won't affect private property. There's no slippery slope.
My favourite.
You're not going to be paying the rent before you know it.
Do I have they're not in order. My favourite is the historic native title has been claimed by true Aboriginals.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He looks as Aboriginal as my big toe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw him selling. No, I won't finish that sentence because that would be actually libelous, and I'm just trying to make a joke, so I won't do that.
Now we have some youth crime.
Yeah. Now, this is nothing to worry about here because obviously he was just walking by and he saw an open
That's a
garage.
hammer for those who can't see it.
He saw an open garage and thought, hey, someone's inviting friends around. I want to go and meet my neighbours. And then it turns out the neighbours were really unfriendly and they chased the poor guy off.
Yeah, and I mean, he had a hammer. He was just being helpful. He was coming to do some odd jobs.
Listen, times are tough. People are looking for work, knocking on doors or walking through open garages. Sorry, we're just doing the topics, aren't we?
Yeah. BBC might fight for its must fight.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
that's
get
the
to that.
outgoing chief.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Outgoing for a reason.
I thought this one was interesting. I know it's very Melbourne-centric, but the famous drug injecting room in North Richmond is spectacular fail. Spectacular fail. And the local community is outraged by it. And of all the people to say it has to go, it's the Yarra Council.
Yeah, the Yarra Council. I mean,
you don't get much more woke than the Yarra Council.
So you either legalise it or don't. Halfway in between is a recipe for disaster, and that's true. That's a principle that applies to almost everything.
Put my knife away.
Yeah, I would feel better.
It's a big knife, isn't it?
That has got to be.
It's got some weight to it.
Honestly, if you there are bins around Melbourne for this thing. That's the most serious. It's obviously idiot-proof as well because I can't get it open. So I'm gonna leave that to you.
Yeah. I'll save it for later when you misbehave. Okay, so we've got that. This one we're going to talk about at length.
Yes.
So this is sexual assault charges against Tanner Bruin.
Dropped. Bruin, yeah.
Dropped after the witness admits to lying.
And what terrifies me is that it got all the way to the stand, and the witness broke on the stand. So. Harrowing.
We will get into that.
Yeah.
So I've got a few articles about that.
Yeah, transgender, we've got that. Yep.
Ryan Muirhead is now doing defamation, I believe, against the former premier.
I thought that was already happening.
It's
that changed?
It's hit the mainstream.
Yeah,
I think that's been lodged.
Yeah, okay.
Or whatever.
Right. Yep.
So we'll talk about that. Then we've got the ban. We've got Tasmanian government talking about not allowing trans-identifying male prisoners into women's prisons.
Well, I mean, if that isn't a bolt of common sense from the blue.
It's almost like nature is healing.
Look, a little bit. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's still a lot going on, but I've got to say, and we'll get to the data points later, but there is so much evidence to say that this particular social contagion has well and truly passed.
Then we've got the world's most locked down kids back at school. I know we touched on this very briefly.
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about it more. We touched briefly on it on Monday. If only someone could have seen this coming, hey? Mm-hmm.
And then this, so I know it's, again, Melbourne-centric, but I think this is important because Melbourne's kind of like
Can you scroll down a bit?
sorry.
I can't see.
The cesspit of Australia. But it's come out that the Victorian government spends more than $2 million on a secret review slashing the public service jobs. So how can she slash jobs without making it look bad for her government as she comes into an election year, even though that she knows the state's broke?
Yeah, the election is weighing heavily on her and has got to be a big part of her announcement regarding adult time for violent crimes.
It's the only reason she did it.
She's got one eye on the opinion polls and the election, and look, if there was a half competent opposition in Victoria, she'd be in all kinds of trouble. But the truth is, there isn't, and she's not.
Yeah, it's just outrageous.
What is this?
This is a new way to fight crime in your house. This is called a smoke screen. So when someone comes and robs you, you have this like activated smoke shield that basically... An activated almond. So basically, if it would play, it just fills up the garage with smoke.
So I remember, late 90s, 2000s, when crime in South Africa was really getting out of hand. We started to see videos coming out of South Africa of security companies advocating different things. And they were mostly around vehicles. So they were mounted to the underside of vehicles, some with smoke, some with pepper spray, these sorts of things, because they were legal over there. Some with flames.
Yeah.
They would actually just flames for a couple of seconds to deter carjackings and that sort of thing. And I remember thinking, what kind of a hellscape do you have to live in for something like that, for you to look at that and go, yes, that solves a problem that I have.
I work my ass off for the money that I get, and I want to spend it on shit like this.
Yeah. And now we live in that, you live in exactly that kind of hellscape.
Yeah. Which is why we have cameras everywhere. I'll be careful saying this, but a friend that we know has got the security level of like CIA at his house.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very impressive.
Yeah, one of the weaknesses of a lot of these camera systems that are being sold, so easily accessible, they're very appealing, is that they operate via wireless signals and they're very easily jammed. And unfortunately, this is one of the problems we're seeing. The same kind of criminals that are overriding security systems in cars, plugging into the service port and doing their various tricks, those same sorts of relatively sophisticated electronic devices, they're easily overriding remote camera systems and things like that as well. So there's some money that needs to be spent on hardwiring them just to be sure that they will actually work when you need them.
Yes, exactly. I saw this article and I thought, since we're talking about trans stuff, this is the BBC, so the British Broadcasting Channel, so their version of ABC, saying that transgender women's milk is just as good as natural breast milk for babies. And you've got to wonder, what kind of frickin' dystopia are we living in where this is something that the BBC publishes?
Something very funny happened on Mr. Beast's YouTube channel. Mr. Beast, the world's biggest entertainer, hundreds of millions of subscribers. I dread to think how many billions of views he's had now. He did a running race, the world's fastest woman versus 100 just average blokes. Now, the truth is the average blokes tended to be younger and in decent shape. There weren't people like me pictured in the group of average blokes, but they weren't athletes. And I think it was a 100-metre dash, might have been 200, but I think it was a 100-metre dash. And they did the dash, and obviously all very well camera filmed, all the rest of it, all the Mr. Beast production values. And she came first. She did come first by a whisker from, there was one other bloke that was particularly close to her, and then there were a bunch that were, a fraction of a second behind. So this is the fastest woman in the world. And Mr. Beast goes over to the dude who was that far behind her and says, "Oh, do you run track and field?" And he's like, "Nope." So him and a bunch of blokes who, they might play other sports or whatever, but they're not runners. These weren't people that were.
And she was like top of the top.
And she is the fastest woman in the world. Now, she would outrun me in a heartbeat. I'm not sitting here going, "Oh, well, blah blah blah." No, she would outrun me in a heartbeat. But it was just, I don't know. I'm not sure whether the producers thought through in advance the optics of that race and how that would work out. But it's kind of like, yeah, there's a difference.
Well, wasn't it one of Mr. Beast's close friends who became trans and then
disappeared off the show I don't think because of that specifically, but because there's some pretty serious allegations. Yes. I don't know the status, so I'm not going to say anything more specific, but I know that some serious allegations were brought.
It got pretty messy.
And yes, disappeared off the show.
And then this one I thought it's worth talking about. So this is a woman that was kicked out of Gold's Gym in LA for calling out a man in a woman's locker, and he called himself a woman. And it turns out that the man who was a woman in the locker room actually has sexual assault charges laid against him by his ex-wife, and now he's trans.
I am shocked, I tell you.
Yeah.
Shocked.
And so this is, her name was, I'll have to look it up. But anyway, so she's come out and she's basically gone to their local representative and she said, like, what are you doing to protect women? And then the crowd's like, trans women are women. And then, anyway.
So they've got a bunch of activists in there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I thought that's worth talking about because all this is across the world. Like, the whole trans stuff is done. Everyone's done.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, obviously they've got a group of people in there that aren't done.
Yeah.
And this is the bitter clingers issue that we've talked about before. These people are going to become increasingly dangerous.
And this was a palate cleanse because I just thought this was funny. So this is JD Vance on Halloween. And so this is the meme they put on about JD to like mock him. And then this is JD on Halloween, like
so he went
taking the piss. He went as himself as the meme. Like how brilliant is that humour? And then so up here, I've showed this woman before. This is Jennifer Welch. She's now like a new Democrat darling. And she is the nastiest woman I think I've ever encountered. She comes across so mean.
Yeah, right.
So nasty. Anyway,
she'll fit in well then.
And this is, and she looks harsh too. And then this is old mate Harry.
Yeah.
And it just shows you how lacking in humour these people are because they're talking about this like it's super sensitive, like serious. And JD's literally just like smiling.
Taking the piss out of them.
And they're like, he's a loser. Yeah. He just wants to. He's a failed drag queen. He's not intelligent. I'm like, he went to freaking Harvard.
Yeah.
You know, like what? Like it's hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, anyway.
All right, topics. Come on. We're only doing the topics right now.
And then, obviously, we've got some American stuff to talk about, but I don't know if we get to it. And then we've got good old Jacinta Allan saying that global warming is killing people.
Oh, she's making a run now for Secretary General of the UN.
Is she?
So she's trying to do what Kevin Rudd tried to do. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
She's got an interesting shaped cranium.
Well, that does explain why she showed up in China for the anniversary, the same one that Daniel Andrews was in the family photo. Jacinta Ardern,
Bob Carr.
Bob Carr, thank you, and a handful of others were also there, and they weren't featured in the photo, which I think tells a story in and of itself. But Jacinta Ardern, I've said this before, one of the biggest, most toxic things in modern politics is that people don't see being the Prime Minister or a state premier as the pinnacle of their career. They view it as a stepping stone. They're going to move through this, and their actions while they are premier or while they are Prime Minister are their job audition for the future role that they really want, which is going to be a globalist role. We saw it with Kevin Rudd. In my opinion, the same thing happened with Malcolm Turnbull, although he had a different focus. His focus was on trading and banking and making everything a commodity to be traded on the markets. And with Jacinta Ardern, I think, again, she's gone the path of Kevin Rudd. She wants to be the Secretary General of the UN.
What does that mean? Does that give her like unprecedented power?
In their ranking of totem pole, that's it. That's the number one job globally. If you're the Secretary General of the UN, you are the closest thing that Earth has to a global emperor right now.
Could you imagine if Kevin Rudd got that position? Could you imagine?
So it was actually Malcolm Turnbull who killed his bid because the rules are basically that the bid has to come from a country and it has to be approved by the head of that country. And it was Malcolm Turnbull that put an end to it. And I really wish he hadn't, because for Kevin Rudd to get put forward and then all of the African countries and all of the Asian countries that he sold Australia out to, believing that he was buying favour, all going, you, who are you? No, we don't remember you. And voting for somebody else and installing somebody else was exactly what Rudd needed. He got saved from a global humiliation because Malcolm Turnbull wouldn't let him be the nominee.
Okay, so back to the script. All right, ready? 1, 2...
And yes. 1, 2, bang, done.
Ready?
Yep. Now.
Left or right? Oh, left is your only option.
Okay, left, third one down.
Hypothecation. The practice of using property or other assets as the collateral for a loan. We're not going to be using that.
Hang on. Can I see, please? I thought I knew what hypothecation meant. So it's not related to hypothesis?
Well, no.
Wow, okay.
But I don't think we'll use that. I think we need to go again.
How about hypnopompic?
Hypnopompic?
Having to do with the semi-conscious state that precedes wakefulness. When you talk about people waking up, they go through the state of being hypnopompic first. Hypno, Hypno, Pompic. Hypnopompic. Or hypnopompic. Hypnopompic.
A state of consciousness a person is they're waking up from sleep, characterized by confusion and sensory experience like hearing, seeing, or feeling things that aren't real, hallucinating.
So was it Salvatore Dali who used to hold a key in his hand and would fall asleep and drop the key and that would wake him up and then he would paint? Was that Dali? Yeah. He was in his state of being hypnopompic. This is going to be a really difficult one.
I don't.
This is going to be for both of us.
I think we're hypnopompic in this episode.
This is going to be really tricky.
Yeah, okay,
All right, have we done everything? We'll get
good
to
news.
We'll get to good news in a minute. Can we get back to what you so rudely interrupted?
Okay, so why I'm angry.
You brought up the fact that obviously my belly is enormous and makes text look round. I'm sure that was you that was so ungraciously making a point of that.
I mean, I'm honest, but I'm not.
I have an issue with you. I have been trying to lose weight for some time, and I was succeeding. I've lost some.
Yeah.
And then the busyness of what I'm doing and everything, I just began to eat a bit.
The excuses came back.
Yeah, that's right. A bit of crap crept back into the diet. I went for about 7-8 months without drinking any alcohol, and I started drinking some wine again, and that just goes all the rest of it. So anyway, I've now been nearly a week eating healthy. I ate a banana on the way down here. I didn't get McDonald's. I ate a banana. Okay. I have a packet of nuts, right? And I am, sorry, I am drinking, I don't even know who I am at this point.
You're drinking that voluntarily?
I am drinking coconut water, supposedly by choice, but I think I may have been hypnotized. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And, the results have been spectacular because now I'm fat and grumpy.
Okay, so give me these nuts. Do you know how many calories are in these?
Probably quite a lot. But there is some protein as well. And I tell myself that that's what makes all the difference.
There is fuck all protein. Okay, so in a serving, hang on.
In place of a quarter pounder with cheese add bacon,
How
large
much? How
meal.
much of these have you eaten in one go?
I've eaten half the packet. Yeah.
Okay, so you've had in this half packet, which is 2 serves, you have had 8 grams of protein, and you have had almost 30 grams of fat.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with fat. I just need to not.
Well,
store
calories in, calories out. So if you're eating high, dense calorie foods,
highly calorific foods,
you will.
So what you're telling me is that I'm not going to lose weight until I start walking to Melbourne for the podcast.
Okay, weight loss can be tricky, particularly if your cortisol's really high.
Can I just get a leg amputated?
I mean, you could get something else amputated.
I wouldn't lose much weight.
Oh, not the dick jokes.
Hey, I'm sorry. I just delivered on what you set up. All right? That was actually your joke. You just handed me the punchline.
No, I mean, look, I know everyone in the comments is screaming at you to try keto, be carnivore, do plant-based. Everyone's got an opinion on it. It really is simple as calories in, calories out.
I know it is. But that's hard.
There is an element of cortisol that definitely plays a role in this.
Yeah.
And I know that.
Yeah.
Because like when I'm stressed, I don't eat. I'm not a stress eater. I'm the opposite. I don't eat.
Okay.
But I still don't lose weight.
Yeah.
Because your body's just like in this state of weight loss comes down to, firstly, it needs to be slow and if you're depriving yourself, you will binge.
Is the slowest. I mean, you cannot get
it's
slower.
It's going so slow. It's coming back on.
Yeah. You cannot get slower than my current rate of weight loss.
How many steps do you get a day?
Actually very few now. This is one of the problems because I'm getting up usually between 5:30 and 6 in the morning. I go and pray next door. There's a room that looks over the house. And then I come back, I eat my poached eggs for breakfast, and then I'm sitting, and even while I'm eating my breakfast, I'm already at the laptop. Typically, I will then take a break for about half an hour to see my girls at lunchtime, and for about 45 minutes to an hour at dinner time to see the family, put the girls to bed, and then I'm back to work, usually till about 8 or 9 at night. And I am sitting, there's about 4 different spots where I'll sit because I get really sore, like my hamstrings are so tight at the moment, not from doing anything, just from not
sitting.
doing anything.
Yeah.
And so I'm genuinely in a seat working on a laptop or a phone or presenting to camera between 12 and 13 hours a day right now.
Do you want a lecture? I can give you a lecture.
Well, we've only got 2.5 hours left in the podcast.
I'm going to tell you something that is very, very serious because...
Are you going to tell me about your sit-stand desk?
Or that was great. We did do a podcast on that. I'm waiting for them to sponsor us. And then you can have my hand-me-down. I'll get a new one.
Okay, yeah, sure.
No. So I had my company for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I was so stressed. I think this is like a combination of why my hair was falling out too.
Yeah.
It was like exactly that. I would give that excuse. I'm so busy. I don't have time. And then one day the doctor said, the doctor said, it was a naturopath, sorry. She said to me, she's like, you'll make time when you're sick.
Yeah.
So why don't you just make the time now? And I was like, I see what you're saying. You need to, before you do anything, you like pray, eat, all that sort of stuff. You have to go and get vitamin D on your skin. And
bit hard in winter when you're getting up at 5:30 in the
well,
morning.
yeah, true. But like wait till 9 o'clock.
And get up then?
No, get up.
That sounds nice.
But go for a walk for at least 30 minutes. And it should be no excuse. It's like get some fresh air, vitamin D in your eyeballs. It helps with melatonin production and also helps with your circadian rhythm. But also 30 minutes of walking without anything. No earbuds in your ears, no phone. Just go and do that. And then you will be even more productive. And it sounds counterintuitive. You're like, I need to get to work. Opposite. Go do that. And you'll feel even more recharged because all of a sudden your blood's circulating better. You've got freshly oxygenated blood. You've got vitamin D.
You're not my real mum. You're not my real mum.
I'm just saying.
You can't tell me what to do.
I'm just saying. So
No.
I remember back to when I felt my healthiest. I was doing CrossFit and I used to get up at 5:30 to be at the 6 o'clock gym session. But from there, I used to do the training and then I used to catch the train from Geelong to Melbourne. So I had to park the car, walk to the train, which was usually a fair walk because it was packed. And then from Southern Cross Station, I had to walk down to a tram and then a tram to South Melbourne. And then I walked from the tram to work. So there's actually a lot of steps involved in my day, in my commute.
Yeah.
And I realized when that was taken out of my day and you're just working from home and things like that, I'm so sedentary.
Yeah.
I walk from my
it's a
bedroom
problem.
to the lounge room to the kitchen to the bathroom.
Yep.
That's about it.
Yep.
And so that's something I realized because I wear an Apple Watch, not not for any other reason than, I wanted it to do my steps. And if I don't actively go out and see steps, I am lucky to get 2,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
That's
I
terrible.
drink more water just so I get my steps up going to and from the toilet.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
But the 30-minute walk, that should be a non-negotiable. And it's not just for weight loss. Like, don't think about that. It's a mental health thing.
Yeah.
And so I have started a new thing. This is not my good news, but this is something I'm doing. I'm getting a second phone. And it's going to be a dumb phone.
Okay, yes.
And this phone, this is my...
A phone to match its owner.
Well, I walked into that, to be fair. I walked into that. So this iPhone does all the whiz-bang thing. It's got the camera and all the things. And you think that you need it all the time. But I hate how often I pick it up. It actually, I'm so mad at myself. I know I'm addicted. Everyone's addicted. So I want to get a phone that is a dumb phone that has my actual SIM card in it. That's the one that people call and text on.
Yep.
And then this one will only work on Wi-Fi.
Yep.
That's what I'm like. So when I take this from the house, it doesn't work.
Yeah, there's no notifications. There's nothing.
Yeah. So if I want to use it for a camera and stuff, it still works for a camera. If I need a phone, I've got my dumb phone.
Yeah.
This one, no workies.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid how
It's just
much
too
I pick
easy.
it up.
Yeah, it's too easy. Look, I'd like to get to the same point, but that's a little while away. I need a bigger team around me before I'm going to be able to disconnect from the internet. And
Well,
I need more slaves.
Yes and no. See, that is a modern excuse, right? So, but in the morning, you do have half an hour. You can find it because we all do waste time.
Sure.
So you need to prioritize that because you will prioritize it when you're sick.
Sure. The issue for me is to then say, well, I'm going to make half an hour, but it's not going to be half an hour with my kids. It's going to be half an hour with me. So then there's kind of that second thing of already my kids hardly see me outside of weekends. And so now I'm going to go, right, I'm going to make another 2.5 hours in my week.
When do they go to work? School?
When do they go to work? Well, as soon as we can change...
So I wasn't meant to talk about the child labour.
As soon as we can change those child labour laws, I tell you, into the coal mines.
When have you ever followed the laws?
This is why I'm such a coal supporter, just like we've got to give the kids somewhere to work.
Back to being a chimney sweep.
That's the other end of the coal industry. It's a whole life cycle.
Did you know that? Like 3-year-olds used to be up there in the chimneys, sweeping out the coal?
Yeah, I mean, horrific. Now, again, we have to allow for the differences between the modern world and the wealth that they had at the time. But anyway, no. So I have some conflict internal conflict around that. And
they go to school in kindy though, not your youngest.
So not all of them. But also like. In the morning is one of the few opportunities I would have to spend with them.
Yeah.
But it's also a case of I need to get on top of my day and actually have a video out because if you're not timely, if I get a video out the next day or the day after, people have already moved on from that topic.
What do you do at lunchtime?
Well, I work most of the time and then I'll come upstairs and spend about a half an hour.
You need to set your
kids.
phone and make it an non-negotiable rule that 11:30 or 12 o'clock, regardless what you're doing, you get up, you walk for half an hour and you come back. And it becomes routine.
So then not spend time with my kids. See, this is the problem.
At lunchtime?
Yeah. So
we'll spend time with them and then go for the walk.
Okay, so now we're taking a half an hour out of the day.
You're taking half an hour away from your very busy schedule.
We're going to have to put a pin in this conversation. You're going to have to come up and spend 2 weeks.
Fight me.
No, you're going to have to spend 2 weeks working alongside me in Albury and actually just see what I do.
I do the same thing as you.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to fight.
I don't have the kids.
I'm going to fight you on that point.
I don't have the kids.
All right, Good news. All right, so my good news was actually going to be the merch, but we've kind of already blown that cover.
Yeah.
I do have some other good news though. I got a phone call from my wife while I'm driving, while I'm in the car on the way home, on the way down here, and she says, "Are you expecting 10 boxes of books?" I said, yes. I wasn't expecting to arrive so soon, hence I hadn't told you about them. But yes, I was expecting 10 large boxes full of books. I've received 1,000 books sent to me from the US.
Yeah.
And this is these are essays from Ludwig von Mises on basically their sort of modernized selection of essays explaining how the world works for the modern person, the ones that communicate best. They're not particularly thick books. There's about 7 essays in the book, and they've sent me 1,000 of them so that I can give them away. And
That's
so
nice.
once we get things sorted, probably coinciding with the launch of all the new merch,
Yeah.
we'll be saying if you order something from us, you will get a free book. 1,000 of them. So what happened was they had a donor love the book so much and recognize its importance and actually paid for 100,000 books to get printed.
Yeah, wow.
And so all I had to do was cover the shipping from the US, which
Yeah.
is still a couple of $1,000s, by the way.
Yeah.
But pay for that, and then they've just arrived. So yeah, when we launch all the new merch, which is probably December,
Yeah, well, hopefully pushing the
in time for Christmas.
play button on
or
ordering today.
Today, hopefully.
Yeah.
We give away a free book.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
First 1,000 orders get the book.
I'm not sure whether to make it an opt-in thing, because if someone doesn't actually want it, they're not going to read it. It's just not interesting to them. It's kind of, I want it to go into the hands of people that are actually going to value it. But then we're going to get people that order, don't click the button and go, hey, where's my free book? So
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Not sure. But
Well, if they're
probably just the first 1,000.
If they're ordering from you, I dare say they're interested.
Well, you would hope so, or they would know someone who is. So yeah, we'll probably just include it by default, so we don't have issues with people not getting it.
Well, that is indeed good news.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And it's nice to feel like I'm doing a collab with, this is a big American group, and they reached out to me.
Brilliant.
And said, hey, we're trying to get these books out worldwide, and we've come across your work, and you look like, this might be your thing. And I'm like, yeah, that might be my thing.
Most excellent.
Yeah.
My good news, I have a couple of little ones, but firstly, let me just...
Oh, gosh.
Sorry, I just noticed that it needed a bit of a polish.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm really sorry.
Just tidy that up a bit.
Look at these amateurs trying to pretend that they can actually make it in the big league. I tell you. Some of us don't
Look
need...
at that bad boy.
Some of us don't need... some of us can put our own face on the front of a book and it sells. I'm just saying. Not all of us have to use models. I'm just saying, and like all flashy colours. I mean, look, your author's portrait is...
I've never looked better, to be fair.
is interesting. That is a self-portrait for the ages.
Yeah.
No, this is actually a really nice book. I hate to admit it. I really do.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that 18 months of work is reduced to this?
Yeah, 18 months of work, guys, on display. That's...
You son of a bitch.
That's an achievement.
Anyway, that wasn't...
That's actually really lovely. That's a lovely publication, Carly. Well done.
I don't like the gloss cover, so I'm going to change that to matte.
Okay.
Anyway, my good news is I did my first paid partnership ad for my...
Well, that book can't get sold to somebody now.
Oh, sorry. There's another one there.
There's plenty more where that one came from. Paid partnership.
Paid partnership.
Tell me more. How do you get these things?
Well, they reached out to me. Same thing. I'm like, wow, I must be important all of a sudden. People wanted me to advertise their product. And it was a product that I was like, I would actually advertise this.
People only offer me money to shut up.
Yeah. Well, can you blame them?
I mean, if I could just take them all at once, then it might work. Yeah.
And the reason I share this as good news is like I've spent so much time doing like the social commentary comments, reels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And same with you. I mean, I'm not doing the YouTube videos, but I plan to as of next week. But it's the same amount of time. Like the reels, I hate to admit this, they take me about 4 or 5 hours. And I don't know how to make them quicker.
Yeah, no, you can't.
I try so hard to be thorough. So like I talk to my chat GPT to put the script out. So I use it like a dictaphone. And then I'm like, okay, cool, that's the first idea. And then I have like 50 different little scripts just sitting there. And when I feel like I want to act on it, I'm like, all right, I'll grab that one. And I go through and I, refine the script. I put it up on a teleprompter so I can give myself, prompts so I'm not stuffing up the video and all that. But then the editing and the green screen and all that sort of stuff, it just takes ages.
Yeah.
But it was nice to be recognised. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I will show you.
Oh, we get to see it, do we?
Yeah. Hang on. Let me bring it up here.
Not safe for work warning, everybody. Not safe for work. We don't know what she's going to be advertising.
This is my Dave Rubin photos too.
Yeah, they come up nice.
They did. But anyway. Oh, we're doing this again.
You've never sound smarter. Never sound smarter. You've never sounded smarter. Gosh, what a line for me to stuff up, hey? I'm having a go at you for not sounding smart.
Oh dear.
Is your little Mackie Mac having issues again?
No, I have to set the bloody sound up. So just give me a second. I should.
Poor little Mac doesn't know where to send the noise.
It's not.
Oh,
it's not the Mac thing. It's me, and I need to set up.
I don't think that makes it any better. Let me just have a drink of my coconut water. Coco Bella, if you'd like to sponsor me, I'm a wonderful model and example of just how much your coconut water does stuff to you for things and reasons.
Why are you drinking the coconut water? I don't understand that.
Honest answer, my dad bought some.
Ah.
And I went, okay.
Okay. So
Yeah,
this
that's
is
about as deep as it's gone.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just interesting. There we go. So that should now work.
So let me guess, these are probably full of calories as well.
No, coconut water's pretty all right.
I mean, it tastes.
think.
It tastes coconutty.
Anyway,
So
I'm not going to play that video because for whatever reason I can't get it to work and I don't feel like fucking around right now.
All right.
But that was my good news.
that was your good news.
Yeah.
So you've had your first brand partnership.
Yeah.
And so when do you buy your private jet?
I need approximately 100,000 more of them.
Okay. All right. Well then, look.
99,999 more to go.
I'll give you a couple of months. Yeah, a couple of months before you.
But it's cool
you rock
that
up in
it's
a
like
G6.
someone, appreciates that you've put out good
built an
content and they want to
audience
support you. Yeah.
And it's this really interesting balance because like I don't have any advertisers at the moment. I do have companies coming to me and I just haven't been comfortable partnering with any of them yet. And
that's the problem.
That's
right?
a
Most of the time you're like,
for next year. Yeah, this year we got the rebrand, we got the launch of the new merch products and all that sort of stuff. This year's full. Next year we'll look at advertisers because I'm not morally against it, but the trick is this. It works. Me advertising a product to my audience, you advertising a product to your audience works because of the trust that you've built. But all it takes is one bad product or one bad ad. And we've seen this before where people, particularly when it comes to the crypto space, it's such a dangerous space where influencers will advertise to their audience, in good faith. I'm not going to assume that they were being cynical or taking the piss. And then it's turned out to be a scam or it's turned out to fall to pieces. Maybe it wasn't a scam, but it falls to pieces and people get burned. And now you've, as the person whose trust was used to sell that thing, you've kind of betrayed your own audience.
Yeah,
it's a really tricky thing. Yeah,
it's icky. You got to be This partnership was an AI company and it was for retouching, which I do anyway. I do in Photoshop. Everyone knows that I do it. It's not Facetune. And I put it out there and I had to really think hard about it because I was like, I've just written a whole thesis on AI and I am pro AI.
Yeah.
But this one, it's literally all it does is the retouching.
Yeah.
And if you are a wedding photographer or you're someone who's doing a big gallery, I'm like, oh my God, I've just saved you hours off your life. This is actually a game changer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, good.
Anyway.
Look, for the right product, I don't have an issue with it, but it's so much work needed to research each one to be sure that I haven't bothered.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
It's tedious. But I will say as well, there has been... I've got a video in the making that I'm talking about this whole negative connotations and making assumptions on the information that's not provided by people.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you call that yet, but it's basically when people put up a video and then people in the comments are watching that and going, oh yeah, but what about this? Because you didn't post that. I'll give you an example. This chick, this is what set me off. It was this random girl who was talking about a day in her life and she's come home from some event and her dog's waiting for her and she was focusing on how the dog was just so excited to see her.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, well, what do you do with the dog for 14 hours a day if you're at work for 14 hours? Is the dog just at home? It looks like you're an animal abuser. And then it just goes off in the comments.
Yeah.
So I've got a video coming out about that, how people just go off and make assumptions.
I can imagine a negative scenario around you that you haven't specifically refuted in advance.
Yep.
Therefore,
it's your fault for snoozing on it. So therefore,
right. I'm
going
to run with it.
And this is like the whole left crap anyway. Like they want a reason to be mad. I'm convinced that's all they want. They want a reason to be mad.
We need to find a collective term because you're right about that whole the woke right thing is a thing. And this sort of behavior is no longer exclusive to the left. And one of the dangers is as this cultural shift happens that we talk about a lot, as this happens, a lot of people are going to start to make the same mistake as what the left did when they thought they had won.
Yeah.
And that is the hubris, the arrogance, the looking down on others, treating them not as though they're wrong, but treating them as though they're evil. All of those same mistakes, these are baked into human nature.
Yeah.
These are human nature flaws that we have. And we need a collective term for all of these kinds of the professionally offended. And that has been historically in our lifetimes more of a left-wing thing because they've been the ones on the ascendancy.
I remember this all popping up around the 2017-16 era. This whole I'm offended. And back then we were all going, I don't care if you're offended, get over it. And then all of a sudden that offense became a right. If I'm offended, you have to...
Well, it was codified into law before then. So we had Section 18C of the Racial and Religious Discrimination Act that Andrew Bolt was charged under because he had offended somebody with his questions about, how are we going to decide who's Aboriginal and who's not. Then we had, there was a pastor, Danny Nalaya, was charged under Section 18C of the Racial and Religious Discrimination Act. This has got to be going back to early 2010s, maybe even before 2010. I actually don't remember how long ago it was. It could be over 15 years by now.
Yeah, wow.
That this, Section 18C, this is a federal act, the Racial and Religious Discrimination Act, federally. And people were getting prosecuted under that for causing offence.
I do remember
However,
this, yeah.
the distinction then was that it was still a civil matter. It wasn't a criminal matter. You couldn't go to prison. It was just going to be a financial penalty or other types of penalties.
Which I'd argue sometimes is worse.
Well, what we've done more recently is we've actually introduced legislation that means that if you upset somebody, if you offend somebody, it can actually be turned into a criminal matter, which... where regardless of the fact that, yes, sometimes civil penalties can even be worse than criminal penalties, the idea that we're getting the government involved and the criminal justice system involved over somebody's hurt feelings is a very, very dangerous place for us to be.
Well, since we're talking about that, do you want to come across to this sexual assault thing?
So this is the charges being dropped.
Yeah, okay, so let me pull this up. Where are we?
This is an astonishing story.
Yeah, so this is a Geelong midfielder, Tanner Brune, who was charged with rape alongside a mutual or like an associate.
Yeah.
And a woman claimed that outside of a strip club, she was digitally raped, which I'm still trying to understand.
Fingers.
No, it's not. Is it?
Digits.
I thought it meant like digital as in the digital space.
No.
Is it?
Yeah.
Digitally and orally raped, she was, apparently, allegedly. And this went to trial. So the rape allegedly happened in 2022.
Yep.
It didn't there wasn't a claim until 2023.
So 5 months was the lag before the claim was made. And then another, I believe it was 18 months before the charges were laid after that.
So this has been going on for a while. So the reason I frame it that way is, can you imagine what this poor boy has been through?
Now, he's 22 years old now.
Yeah.
So this is over things that he's no longer alleged to have done in 2000, must have been 2000, not in the year, but when he was about 19, right? And this is dragged on. He's missed an entire year of playing footy because the team wouldn't field him
at the proper level.
He made it all the way up. His dream was coming true.
Yeah.
And then he hasn't played in a very long time. The character assassination that goes on around these sorts of allegations, the presumption of guilt instead of the presumption of innocence. And sometimes my own viewers get annoyed with me when I stand up for the presumption of innocence, even in cases of people that I don't like.
Yeah, where you think they're a piece of shit.
I still remind people, hey, this has to go through due process.
Yeah.
And this is a great illustration of why we have to be really protective of the principle of innocence until proven guilty. What really concerns me about this is essentially one of the witnesses fell apart on the stand and then went and confessed to a police officer that they didn't remember what had actually happened on that night. They were told by their friend to testify according to their friend's testimony.
Yes.
So they were just repeating what they were told.
Yes.
And it's entirely possible that they believed their friend up until the court case because the evidence wasn't stacking up.
Yeah.
It wasn't lining up
Yeah.
with what this person was. They said certain things happened and the security camera footage showed that didn't happen.
Yes.
And so then they were quite possibly discovering right then and there on the stand, hang on, I'm lying and I didn't know it because I'm repeating what my friend said and I thought I was standing up for my friend.
Are you giving them the benefit of the doubt?
Well, I'm just painting a picture of how these things happen.
Yeah.
Understand, there's in the book of Proverbs, there's a verse that says, every man's way is right in his own eyes.
Okay.
Right? And this is a universal principle. Hitler thought he was right. Pol Pot thought he was right.
Yeah.
Stalin thought he was right. Someone lying on the stand has a narrative in their mind that tells them why they're in the right to be doing that. And so I'm just trying to paint a picture and I'm trying to understand, how do you end up in a situation where you're standing up on the stand and you're lying and then you crack? Well, I suspect in this case, it is my opinion based on what I've read and what I can discern, that quite possibly that person believed their friend and thought that they were doing the right thing, standing up for their friend who had been abused and what have you.
Yeah, okay.
And then came to the realization, hang on, none of this happened.
Yeah.
Because what they said to the police officer afterwards was, the truth is, I don't remember that night barely at all. I don't remember seeing the accused. I don't remember them being there. He
said that he was assaulted too, not raped, but as in like physically assaulted by these two boys as well.
Yeah. So again, my understanding from what I've been able to learn is that they're now saying that they were repeating what the alleged rape victim or the accuser had told them to say.
Yeah. So
And that got all the way onto the stand. That got all the way into prosecution. This guy's future and freedom is on the line, and only because that witness broke.
yeah. Otherwise, he would have been jailed.
Very likely. And reputation ruined.
Yeah.
Forever labelled.
Yeah.
A life destroyed. Now, I would argue a life's already been destroyed.
Yeah.
So much of his potential will now never be realised.
He's going to have PTSD from that.
Well, there's the trauma side of things. There's
Yeah.
the lost time. You can't get back the lost time, the experience on the midfield, all of that stuff. I hope he's got really good people around him. I hope that he gets welcomed back into the team and all of the rest of it. And I hope he's had good people around him the whole time. It does appear to me that there were many people that believed him when he said that the allegations were false.
Yeah.
But again, I'm only reading media reports. I don't know him. I don't know anyone that knows him that I know of. But it looks like he's had good support, which is fantastic. But the question now has to become, what happens to the false accuser?
Yeah.
That's that, and we need to be careful because
this is the thing I wanted to talk about, because I've told this story before on the podcast. A friend of mine went through this exact situation.
Yeah.
Also in Geelong, by the way, and same thing, all the way through until the accuser crumbled on stand.
Okay.
And it came out that it was all a lie because I want to be careful with the details because I don't want anyone to look up this case. But essentially, she was jaded because he wouldn't date her.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So it stemmed over a one-night stand or like a hookup. And this woman stalked, harassed this guy for a long time.
Yeah.
And then finally turned around and said she got raped.
Yeah.
So much so, she deliberately hurt herself to give herself bruises and stuff, right? And the reason this matters is because when it got to the stand and she was being questioned, she couldn't keep track of all of her lies because different versions had gone to different people. And that's where they knew she was lying. They had to just get her to sort of crumble.
Yeah.
And then she did. And of course, the case got thrown out. But this, not before my friend lost their job, was fired.
Yep.
All his friends, bar like a handful of us, disowned him. All of them. And then the things they said to him.
Yeah.
His own family, it tore them apart because a little part of them was like, shit, what if he did?
Yeah.
Right? He has never recovered and, has tried. She got married, had a couple kids, went on, lived her life.
Moved on with her life.
I blame this solely, and you can correct me on this, I put this squarely at the feet of fourth wave feminism.
Largely, yeah.
Yeah.
Largely.
And the reason I say that is because, and I feel like I can attest to this because I am a woman, whatever that means to you guys. And growing up, I saw this. I have a brother who's like 5 years older than me.
Sure.
And he went through a similar thing with the CFA. He was he loved being part of the CFA. It was all voluntary.
Yeah.
And he got accused of doing something.
Yeah, okay.
And he got booted out. Nothing happened other than he just got booted out. But that was something he loved dearly. Now, again, I don't know what happened.
Sure.
But that was a scenario and it ruined my brother. He was devastated over it. And then, you see things like the Amber Heard trial with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Me Too movements and a lot of the believe all women people are now being proven to have been false.
Yeah.
And this makes me so mad for a few reasons. One, feminists will sit there on their soapbox and say that we need to believe all women, right? And they'll say that all men are abusers, women are oppressed, it's all men's fault. Never once have any of those women taken into account that women can be malicious, can be nasty. And I speak about this all the time, especially International Women's Day and all this bullshit. I'm like, oh, piss off. Women to other women are vicious.
Yeah.
Women to men who they've been scorned by. There's a reason Shakespeare said, hell have no fury like a woman scorned.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a new phenomenon. This is just hardwired into women. A woman who just decides she doesn't like her ex now and then takes her ex to family court and gets sole custody and child support and never lets him see his own kids. How many cases of those have we heard? Not to say that men can't be terrible because they can.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets muddy. if we can accuse men of being rapists and sexual assault, I mean, they're doing it with Donald Trump. He has never been proven anything, and they call him a rapist. So what you're saying, and people are going to get, I'm really upset about this. If you're saying Donald Trump's a racist because you don't like him and you think that he's possibly capable of it, then you're basically saying that rape is unimportant. Because the reason that matters is if he hasn't been convicted, there's no charges against him and no victim.
Yeah.
I know that Jean Carroll attested that he raped her in a department store or whatever. I think that whole story is full of holes.
Yeah. And bring charges.
Yeah, bring charges. Why hasn't he been charged?
Yeah.
Right? But the left will run with Trump being a rapist. And then that basically means that the actual rapist is not that bad.
Yeah, correct. This is the problem with all of these things. If everybody is that thing, then nobody is that thing. No one cares.
And so now what's going to happen is this, and I'm going to call her a bitch. Why don't we know her name? Who's the liar?
Yeah, well, look, again, if there's going to be potential charges against her, then we do need to be somewhat careful around these things when it's still unresolved from a legal perspective. But
we know his name.
Well, we know his name now. It was suppressed.
Yeah.
It was suppressed, and rightly so. But that doesn't stop the personal fallout because all the people immediately around him are going to know about it.
Yeah, of course. And the whole club knew about it.
The club knew about it and stopped him from playing and all that sort of stuff. So this is a really, really, really serious problem. It's number one, yes, fourth wave feminism, all that stuff. But ultimately, it's people responding to incentives. There is no downside risk for a false accusation most of the time. You've really got to play your hand badly for that to backfire on you in any particular way. And because, unfortunately, the family courts especially, and there are so many stories, and people share their stories with me in messages and things all the time, and it's just heartbreaking. The family court system is so loaded against men that by default, women know that they can weaponize it.
Yeah, I saw that with my own mother. I've told that story.
Yeah, and essentially it's like we see swatting on, computer gamers will get swatted.
Yep.
This is the Australian version of swatting. It doesn't involve a team kicking down the door, but it does involve sheriffs and police and court orderlies and judges and everyone else being on your side. If you're the woman and you play your cards right, you will have an army ready to go and fight on your behalf at your beck and call. And that's an incredibly intoxicating level of power, and there are women who are willing to lie to get that. Unfortunately, we know that that's true. But ultimately, if you incentivize something, you will get more of it.
Yep.
Incentives matter. Incentives change people's behavior. And we've created a world where there is an incentive for a woman to make the man that she was with or hates or has issue with for whatever reason, turn him into a demon.
Yep.
Turn him into the devil personified. And all of the incentives are lined up. You know what there isn't an incentive for? Being reasonable.
Yeah. Of course.
Being easy to get along with, telling the truth and not playing the victim, and recognizing your own part in your behavior. There's no incentive for any of that. I'm not saying that there aren't, and you've said the same thing. I'm not saying that there aren't men that absolutely need to be held to account because they've done those things.
But this muddies the water for those men.
Correct. Well, it muddies the waters for their victims. That's the important part.
So because this is what pisses me off, and this is why I called her a bitch. Because if she did make it up, and it looks like she has, she should be held to account, and she should serve the sentence for what an actual rape is. So if rape's 10 years, she gets 10 years. Unequivocally. Set the example so it deters women from doing this again, because when a real woman who has been raped by someone gets to court, they can use this case as precedent. Oh, well, we know key witnesses can lie.
They lie.
Are you lying?
So there's a really important counterpoint there, though, that we can't end up with a situation where the pendulum goes too far the other way, and just because someone's not found guilty, we then punish the accuser.
I disagree with you here.
Well, no, there kind of has to be these three thresholds. There's guilty beyond reasonable doubt, not guilty beyond reasonable doubt, in which case everyone walks away, and she's guilty of lying. Those need to be three different things. We can't automatically say just because there wasn't enough evidence to convict beyond reasonable doubt, therefore it was a false accusation. We can say they have to be held innocent for the rest of their life. That's how the justice system works. We have to do that, but that cannot automatically turn, because then you'll get women who won't actually bring real cases forward, and there are already women who unfortunately end up in this situation. They're so afraid of the social stigma, because there can be that as well, and they're so afraid of consequences if it doesn't. If they don't have enough evidence, if no one believes their testimony, because often it does come down to that, it's who do you believe? Then they end up in a really damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, and we have to be careful not to weaponize that in the defense of actual.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think there has to be a level of accountability for people who maliciously litigate.
If it's found beyond reasonable doubt that they lied, 100%.
Yeah.
But it cannot be automatic that because a conviction wasn't sustained, that they then endure those consequences. It has to be really clear-cut cases.
Well, I look.
And this one appears to be a pretty clear-cut case.
I think it does too, but you know, I think back to my friend who went through this, and like I said, the woman got married, had kids, and her life is no different for it. There's no downside to her making that claim. We talked recently about a mutual friend of ours who had a sexual harassment case against them. Yeah. Again, no downside, and she still gets a victims of crime payout.
Yeah. And he was found not to have committed any sexual assaults whatsoever, but he lives with all kinds of fallout from having been accused.
$100,000 down the drain to lawyers, and it's not the same as rape, and I'm not even trying to suggest it is, but I was vexatiously litigated by my ex-business partner twice because he knew the law better than me, and because I was green and he saw an opportunity and he took it, and he was wrong and he had no case, but because he did it in a certain way, I still had to pay money. And I paid my lawyers too.
The process is the punishment.
Yeah. And I remember, I was, how old was I? That was 2015. And my lawyer, who was fantastic, by the way, I had the most amazing lawyer. And he said to me, he's like, you're learning, this is you getting your MBA right now. You are learning a very hard lesson in business. Yeah. He's like, cross all your T's, dot all your I's. He got you in a loophole. He's like, we're going to pay it, and he'll piss off. And I just remember sitting there going, like, how can someone do this? It's wrong. It's not. Yeah. And he's like, because he can. Yeah. He extorted you. That's what happened.
That's right.
And I've learnt a very valuable lesson the hard way, of course. But this is very common. I mean, I've talked about my mum doing this to my father. She didn't have kids at home, and she claimed all sorts of things, and I had to be the one to stand there and say this didn't happen.
Yeah, it's a lie.
And what a shit thing. And people go, oh, why don't you talk to your parents, Carly? Well, that's why. Thank you very much. I have a pretty good reason. Yeah. And I remember standing there at the family court and just looking at all these. I'm the youngest in my family by a lot, obviously. There's no other kids. There's no cousins. I'm the youngest. And I'm looking at my grown-ass parents, my grown-ass fucking grandmothers, my auntie and her partner, my brother, all significantly older than me, and they're all acting like fucking kids. And they're all maliciously attacking each other. You said, he said, we're going to use the lawyers for this, we're going to get the lawyers for that. And I'm standing there in the middle, and it all came down to me going, this didn't happen, this is a lie. And I went, fuck you all. Because you got so caught up in the mix of trying to prove a story that didn't happen or did happen, and he said, she said. It destroyed our family, destroyed it. And that was the family court. And the lawyers were like, oh, we can send another letter. Of course you can.
Yeah, that's right.
That's thousands of dollars. Yeah, yeah. You need a solicitor, you need a barrister.
They get paid every time.
And they're like, oh, no, we can go again. And I remember sitting there at the table, and I would have been, 20. I was a kid. Yeah. And just sitting there going, stop. Yeah. Stop. Yeah. And they're like, no, it's the principle. And I remember my good lawyer, who I just told you about, he said to me, he's like, Carly, lawyers buy houses with principle.
Yeah, with other people's principles. Yeah.
And I was like...
Yeah. No, anyway. Correct. And what also annoys me, though, I mean, we haven't touched on this yet, is that the legal system has allowed itself to be used as a means for legalised extortion.
Yes.
Right? But then... And they know it.
They know it. But then I know this isn't the same, and I'm probably jumping over, but our legal system needs a complete overhaul. I think you've said this before. There's too many laws, so it gets confusing. Yeah. And I'm going to throw a couple of things at you because I'm just sort of painting how crazy it is. So there was a picture I sent you where a man was going under a mobile speed camera, like a mobile camera.
One of these new AI ones specifically. Yeah.
And he had his hands on the wheel like this. And for those who not watching, he had his both hands on the steering wheel, and he had his thumbs up, middle fingers up. Yeah. But he's still holding the wheel.
To be clear, his hands were still in contact with the wheel. Yeah, like he was still holding the wheel. He just literally put his two fingers up. And he got a fine for $666 for that, even though both hands are on the wheel. So we've got AI cameras that can catch people doing something like that. Now, that's insignificant. That's not breaking a rule. Sorry, in my opinion, that's not breaking a rule. And then we had a P plater. I didn't even know this was a thing. She's a P plater in Sydney who got fined and demerit points for using her phone. It wasn't in her hand. It was in a mobile phone holder set up on Google Maps. And she got a fine for that because apparently as a P plater, you can't use your phone at all. Not even like on a car mount with Google Maps. It's no phone. So can we touch on this for a second? Because this is a little bit of that halfway thing, the same as what I said we'll get to when we get to the drug injecting room. We've created a bunch of halfway rules for drivers. Oh, if you're on this level of L plate, you can only travel at this speed and all these different sort of gradients. Well, one, it's confusing. Two, we're creating a bunch of new problems.
Yeah.
So here we have a situation where, by the letter of the law, a P-plater either has to be rich enough to have a car that has its own GPS built in.
Yeah.
At which point, how is that different to your phone?
Well, you're punishing people who are, lower socioeconomic
Or
means.
they have to keep pulling over, turning off the car to pull out their phone to check where they are to make sure that they're going in the right direction, which is dangerous and incredibly inefficient and just downright stupid. In the case of L-plater laws where we've got these speed limits, etc., it means that L-platers get less experience than they otherwise would have, because on the long road trips where Dad could have said, hey, you jump in the driver's seat, I'll jump in the passenger seat, we'll just cruise along the freeway at 110. Now it's like, well, no, we would have to go 80. I'm not putting you in the driver's seat. Right? So we're robbing these kids of hours. I got up a lot of hours on a road trip from Victoria to Queensland with my parents when I was on my Ls. There's a whole bunch of other ones I won't go into. We need to get rid of this idea of this paternalistic kind of idea of, we're just going to drip feed you these things.
Yeah.
No, either you are or you aren't.
Our lawmakers are hypnopompic when they're making these laws.
Hypnopotic.
Potting? Did I get it?
Hypnopompic.
Pompic. I said pompic, didn't I?
I don't think that that's a contextually appropriate use.
Well, they're not conscious and they're hallucinating when they make their laws? Am I clasping at straws?
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch. You can do better. You can do better.
This is... Okay.
Like, I'll give you 10 minutes to do better. I'm not going to trump you, all right? But just... You can do better.
I struggle getting it out, so I don't want to do it again. Anyway.
Hypnopompic is the word. I'll give you 10 minutes to find a more spot-on use of the word.
I think when it comes to making these laws, you have people who are doing knee-jerk reactions. Oh, that's the thing, we'll do this.
Yeah.
The P-plater, I'm going to come back to the rape case in a second, but the P-plater who got fined.
Yeah.
So basically P-platers don't get to know where they need to go.
Yeah.
So P-platers aren't allowed to have a map.
No, they have
are they meant to pull out the old Melways?
Melways, yeah, exactly.
Do you remember? So I don't know if you guys will, because we're all Gen X and millennials. When I got my Ps, Tom-Toms were just coming out, and they were really expensive.
Rich people had them.
My brother had one, and my dad had one.
And if you left one in your car, your window would get smashed.
100%. People were stealing it. They were like $400-$500, and they were like these really clunky looking things with this giant plug that you put on the windshield.
And you had to plug the power into the cigarette lighter, because cars had cigarette lighters, not power outlets.
Correct.
Back then.
They were cigarette lighters. Yeah. And I remember wanting one because I went to uni in Warrnambool and I would have to come into Melbourne a lot, and I didn't know the southeast at all. I grew up out in the west or the northwest. And so I would get lost, and I always got confused coming between the Monash and all the different freeways and stuff, because I didn't know the side of town. Yeah. And so I had the Melways, and it was the latest Melways. And for those who are Gen Z who are listening to this who cannot believe this, the Melways was a book, and it was A4 size, but it was about the size of a Bible.
A book is a thing that's made out of paper, and it's all bound along one edge.
Yeah, and you flip paper like this. Yeah. And so the Melways, you would have a A3. So when it's open, it's about A3 size, and it's sitting on your lap, and it says when the road gets to the end of the page, go to page 430.
Oh, this was the best.
So as you're driving, one hand on the wheel, one hand on your Melways, flipping over to, and 430 wasn't the next page. It was 50 pages away.
That's right.
So you're going, keep going. Yep, I'm at the traffic light. And then you get to that page, and then you'd be looking at it. And if you're a woman, you actually turned the map to be the direction that you're going. So now you're looking at...
I never did. I'm proud to say I would do my lefts and rights in my head. Thank you very much.
No. It's still to this day. And same with my Google Maps. It has to be facing upwards. Otherwise, it just loses...
North to the top. That's it. That's all I want.
And anyway, so that's what we did. And so I remember my dad ended up getting a new Tom-Tom, a fancy Tom-Tom, and I got the hand-me-down. And I remember thinking, this is in the future. Yeah. There's a thing that tells me. And then when Google Maps became a thing, we used to print out the Google Maps. Yeah. And you'd have the Google Maps paper.
It'd tell you your turns and everything.
Turn left at this street. And you'd be slowing down going, is that the street? Oh, shit, I've gone past it. Quick, U-turn. Yeah. Kids these days, they'll never know.
You'd have if you were lucky enough to have a passenger, they'd have the Melways on their lap.
Yes.
And then you'd always have an argument with them at some point.
Yeah.
There's always
Is it left or right? Which one? That's not 100 meters. That's right here.
If they were a map turner and you were not, that drives you insane. And the most common sentence is not this one, but in two left times. Like not this one, because you don't want the driver to panic and be like.
Do you know what I did to G the other day? He's going to laugh at this. So we were driving, and so if for anyone who knows where Mentone and the Nepean Highway is, there's this really, I called it a squiggle. That was my very scientific term. It was a squiggle.
Oh, dear.
And we were on Balcombe Road, which comes sort of straight up from the beach. And then it literally, the Nepean goes in a bit of an S curve. And On the left, you can sort of veer off to Lower Dandenong Road, and then there's 2 petrol stations. There's a United and a Shell, but then you have all these other intersections of other roads around the area. It's a pretty hectic intersection.
Right.
Anyway, so G doesn't know this area very well, so he's not super familiar, and we were trying to navigate our way out to the butcher. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, so we need to be in the left lane, and you're kind of going to do a bit of a weird squiggle to go off to the left.
Yeah.
And of course, there's already another left coming. And I'm like, a weird squiggle. And I did this with my hand. I didn't say turn left at the first left. Anyway, so G's like starting to turn left. I'm like, no, the weird squiggle. So we're going up over there. He's like, you could have just said take Lower Dandenong Road. And I'm like, it was a squiggle. Anyway, this still happens, even with Google Maps in my hand.
I've just got images of Mr. Squiggle landing his rocket and coming out. That's all I've got in my head.
I kept doing this as if that means anything, like a fish. Anyway.
Yes. So look, I think it's ridiculous. The way that we're treating driving now is absurd.
But hang on, why are we punishing the young kids who especially don't know the roads? As in, they're already like sort of behind a wheel of, for the first time.
Yeah.
They're focusing on the traffic. They're focusing on, becoming more comfortable.
Yeah.
And we're saying, nope, sorry, you've got to be disadvantaged because you don't get to know where you're going either.
And this is
how outrageous.
This is another form of the poverty trap where if you're poor, life costs you more.
Yeah.
So if he was a rich kid who had GPS built into his car from the get-go because daddy bought him a Mercedes, then this wouldn't apply to him. This wouldn't be a problem. He would never have had his phone up there to begin with. But because he's one of us and he's just got any old car, and I don't know what kind of car it was, he needed to use his phone for the maps, and now he ends up with a $600 fine that he presumably can't afford, like none of us can, or she, sorry, that presumably none of us really can. And so you end up being punished because you didn't have money in the first place.
Yeah.
And we live in a society that likes to preach about egalitarianism and equality and lifting up the poor and so forth. But we have all of these laws and rules and micromanagements that by their nature and by their existence punish them. I'll give you another more controversial example. Roadworthiness on cars and the requirement that every single person has to have their own seatbelt.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense if you have the money for it.
Yeah.
If you're the person who's trying to get on to the bottom of the totem pole and you're like, well, if I could just afford a car, I'd be able to get that higher paying job and I'd be able to begin to climb my way up. But I can't afford a car that's roadworthy. And if I drive a car that's not roadworthy, I'm going to end up being fined and yellow canaried and all sorts of other problems are going to come my way. So I'm stuck here.
Yeah.
And people do it well-meaning. Oh, we don't want cars that aren't roadworthy on our road. Well, okay, yes, but wherever you set that line, you've just condemned a bunch of people to never having anything.
It's the same with the housing thing. We've talked about that from the housing thing.
Absolutely.
But so the reason I brought up those is like we can sit here and I think anyone that you explain that to thinks it's laughable and ridiculous, right? But that's our lawmakers. That's where they're putting all their energy. And then you have an actual case before the courts, which was that 74-year-old ex-judge who showed child pornography at Monash University in a lecture, who was allowed by another judge to go overseas on a holiday because it was very expensive.
I haven't heard much about that
I don't think he's come back to the country.
Yeah, well,
pretty sure he's in Switzerland.
Yeah, well, yes.
You know? But so this is my point. So we've got, like, we are able to use AI cameras to clamp down and get fines from people over here. We can let judges who have done a egregious, terrible thing go on a European holiday. We can get youth assailants out on bail 50 plus times. But then when someone accuses a man of a rape, we assume he's guilty.
Yeah.
We ruin his life
Destroy
over
his life
it.
in advance.
And then the woman who accuses him gets no consequences whatsoever.
We don't know that in her case, but yes.
But when has that ever been a consequence? What happened to Amber Heard?
Well, yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
You know?
You're not wrong.
And there's so many cases like this. And I remember having this argument with someone about Harvey Weinstein. And Candace Owens, to be fair, she did a really good article on this. And Candace and I are a bit weird.
The love affair's wearing off? Yeah, I see. I never had the love affair with her.
It was never a love affair, but when she's good, she's fantastic. When she's terrible, you're like, dude, how are you like this? Anyway, when she did the Harvey Weinstein thing, I thought this was really interesting because I had a chat to a friend about it. And it looks like Harvey was jailed on a technicality or it wasn't for the right, it
wasn't on the substance of it.
It wasn't on the substance. So I'm not saying that he didn't do it, but he didn't get jailed for the thing. He got jailed because of a technicality. And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because it means that, he can get out or whatever. So what you need is unequivocal proof that it happened and it needs to be done correctly so that the right people go to jail. Yeah. You don't want to just slam people into jail for no reason. I get that. But when it comes to this stuff, there has to be a deterrent for these women. I mean, this is all over the world. like Amber Heard's obviously the most famous one, and everyone's like, oh, believe all women. Then you find out she was a psycho.
Yeah. And so what's interesting with that, you made reference to, Weinstein being in prison, not actually for the substance of the allegations against him. The defense to that is, well, they got Al Capone on tax evasion, right? We could never get him for the real stuff, so we got him on that stuff. Where this leads to, though, and there's been studies on this, is it leads to noble cause corruption, where a prosecutor says, I'm sure I've got my guy, but I haven't got the evidence to convict them on this thing.
Yeah.
And so they go, what else have we got? Guys, come on, help me out here.
Yeah.
What can we do here? Because we're so sure that we've got him.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe sometimes they're right. Maybe sometimes they do. This is an evil, horrible person who's about to get off because they haven't got the evidence.
Yeah.
But what if they're wrong?
Yeah.
And I would rather live in a world where we have a justice system that sometimes gets it wrong on the side of letting the guilty walk than a justice system that sometimes gets it wrong on the side of destroying the lives and imprisoning people who didn't deserve it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I do know that things like this, like, there needs to be a deterrent, which is probably a good segue over to the whole Jacinta Allan coming out with what's her thing? Here we go. Let's listen to the horse speaking. The horse's mouth, the horse speaking.
It's why Victoria will introduce adult time for violent crime. This approach will significantly increase the likelihood of jail. In the Children's Court, the maximum sentencing length is 3 years for any offence. In the County Court, they can currently impose sentences of up to 25 years for aggravated home invasion or aggravated carjacking. Under our plan for adult time for violent crime, these offences will carry a life sentence.
So I have so many things to say, but you go first.
Nice in theory, but the reality here is she could have made any one of a number of reforms already if she actually wanted to deal with this. The threat of being sentenced eventually when your case finally goes to court is not going to be as effective as the threat of being remanded in custody until your case is heard. So bail reform is actually the much more effective and much faster way to fix this problem. If they don't get bailed back out again, the social contagion stops instantly. She's promised the toughest bail laws in the world.
They still haven't come into action.
Where are they?
Yeah.
Right? So I think this is one of those things where, again, she wants the optics. I say this over and over again, and honestly, I regret not dedicating a chapter in my book to this. Politicians don't get rewarded for fixing problems. They get rewarded for promising to fix problems.
Yeah.
This is why they actually don't want the problem to go away, because for as long as the problem persists, they can keep making new promises. And it's the promises that actually matter from a political point of view, because you've got a premier who's presiding over a disaster of a state. You've got a completely hypnopompic opposition that...
Does it count?
It does now. I waited my 10 minutes.
Okay. I'll give it to you.
Opposition that cannot land a blow. And this is the mystery here. They cannot land a blow against someone who, if you had asked me, is it possible for Victoria to have a worse premier than Daniel Andrews? I would have said no. It's not actually possible. You can't get worse.
But you can.
But you can.
Yeah.
It's female Daniel Andrews.
But remember, literally 3 weeks ago, she was saying how safe Melbourne was.
Oh, yeah. There's no problem.
And she said that the day after teenagers were driving through Burke Street Mall in a stolen car.
Yep.
And she said that the day after someone was stabbed in the lung. And she said that the day after a boy was murdered.
But what you're missing is that there's another 4.5 million people in Melbourne who didn't get murdered.
Yeah, so it must be
that's an
safe.
accomplishment. That's when you look at the ratios on that.
I got so mad. So I was looking at because you sent me the ABC's clip on Instagram.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can pull it, because that's the Financial Review. Why is the Financial Review posting that?
Yeah,
anyway, so the ABC put up.
They're just going where the clicks are, like
Yeah, I
everybody
think
else.
so. And that's the worst thing about social media is that's the incentive, right? You just want the clicks.
Yep. We would never do that. We would never pick a topic just because we think it's going to get lots of eyeballs.
I'm outrageous just because I am actually outrageous. Oh, God, where is it? Hang on. I commented somewhere. It was people saying, oh, there isn't a crime crisis. This is a joke.
Yeah.
Hang on. Where are we?
Yeah. While you're looking for it, I've touched on these statistics before. Overall crime is not at record levels. It is violent crime that is at record levels. So they can sit there and say, oh, the crime rate's unremarkable, blah, blah, blah. Well, technically true, yeah. Because kids aren't doing petty theft anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they used to do petty theft and that would end up on the crime
Yeah.
statistics. They're not doing that. They're attacking people with machetes now.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So the crime has shifted and has shifted heavily into the worst kinds of violent, vicious, deadly crime.
Yeah. So interestingly, the ABC have taken this down and reposted it because there was a lot of comments, unless it was ABC AU that posted it. Here we go. It might be this one. Yeah, 5 hours ago. Okay, so ABC, right? Biased as hell. They're talking about it. The comments are just shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Let me guess. They're all about sympathy for the kids, how jail's the worst
Sympathy
thing
for the
for
kids.
them. Yep.
It's a symptom of poverty.
Yep.
You know, the kids aren't born that way. It's their upbringing, home situations that made them bad. Why aren't we doing more things to save the people in poverty? Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. And then there's people going, there isn't a crime wave. It's just the media. ABC sounds like Murdoch now.
Yeah.
I
There is none so blind as those who will not see.
And I wrote a comment to one of them because I couldn't help myself. And I just said, like, what a privileged position you are in to have not been impacted by it yet. Say that to people who have had their homes evaded or their cars stolen. And worse yet, say it to the people whose children were murdered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's no crime wave.
Yeah, there's no crime wave. The statistics clearly show that there's no increase in overall crime. Let's just not break it down by violent crime versus other types of crime.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. No, it is fascinating to see just the lengths that some people will go to not see what's staring them in the face.
This is what gets me, right? I was going to make this point, and I'm still sort of working this out in my head as I say it, but these same people will say unequivocally that Donald Trump is Hitler and fascism is like the worst thing that's happening.
And everything else, yeah.
But when it's happening in their own state, under their own eyes, they will, like, they literally can see it happening and they'll be able to say, no, it's not happening. But you can tell me what's happening over in America.
So what I'm going to be watching with interest, so Chris Foley, the Queensland Premier who brought in adult crime, adult time about 18 months ago, and he announced it, into Queensland, he's got challenges from all sorts of different directions, a lot of them on a human rights basis. This is a violation of the human rights of a minor, blah, 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 including international human rights kind of threats of lawsuits and so forth. I should actually look up where all of that is at. I'd be really interested to see whether those same bleeding heart human rights organisations are going to take Jacinta Allan to task over this, or whether, because she's Labor, because she's female, whether they're going to treat her differently in this particular case.
I'm so done with this identity politics stuff. Like, of all the things that need to die on the ass, I'm the first black female, or I'm the first intersex, or I'm the first non-binary. No one gives a shit.
Was it Jean-Pierre, Christine Jean-Pierre, whatever was
queer, black, and I was doing my best.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, your best wasn't good enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm just so sick of it. I'm so done with. But she's a woman, so we should stand behind it. No, she's incompetent. She's a moron, and she's doing a terrible job. Like, she's doing the best. Well, evidently, her best is shit.
Yeah, and sometimes we have to go, oh, that's your best? Okay, well, then you're not the right person.
Yeah, you're the wrong person for the job.
Sometimes that's the conclusion.
Yeah. But,
All right, moving on. Nope.
We need a
shut
palate
down.
cleanse.
I thought you'd run out of batteries for a second there.
I have. But anyway, do you want to talk about this one quickly since we're in Victoria? We'll hang out here for a bit.
Yeah, so this is what are the details on this particular round? I'm familiar with the history, but I don't know what sparked this latest round.
So basically it's right. So for those of you who can't see the article, there is an injecting room, a safe injecting room, and a sobering up centre in North Richmond, and around the corner from it is a school. So this is bringing in people who are taking drugs and who are out of their mind on substances to come into these centres.
It means the headmaster doesn't have that far to go to work after he's sobered up in the morning.
Correct. And so naturally there's syringes everywhere. There's all sorts of unpleasant people and unpleasant things happening around. Yeah. And this has been talked about for years. And basically, Jacinta's come out saying that they have no intention of moving the injecting room. But the mayor of the Yarra Council, who actually, I need to correct myself. I did say they were the wokest. At the last election, they lost all their Greens
did they? Interesting.
councillors.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They historically they've been very woke, but I think they've always been behind Mary Beck and
that whole area of Melbourne is like the dark, shadowy place.
gosh, Darebin. They're kind of the ones that are like full on off the deep end.
Yeah, Marxists and crazy people. But yeah, so the interesting thing about where Yarra is, so that's Carlton, Collingwood, Fitzroy.
Yeah.
They're very affluent areas.
Yeah.
They're affluent socialists.
But there is a big divide. So I lived in Fitzroy for 4 years, and you do see a lot of street people, a lot of people, sleeping on friends' couches, that sort of stuff. The very strong sort of bohemian streak is there.
Yeah.
But there's a very big gap. Those people are never going to become the others. There is very much this divide. I imagine it to be something like the streets of New York, and probably more so coming soon to New York, where, you've got the super wealthy living at the top of the apartment buildings looking over Central Park, and then you've got the person sleeping on the park bench in Central Park.
Yeah.
And they're living next door to each other. There's a little bit of that. The failure of the drug war is astonishing to me. And I want to talk about tobacco as well. We don't have that on the list, but it relates to this. The failure of our ability to stop people from getting a thing that they want.
Yeah.
It's what a mystery.
Yeah.
People want this thing. They're willing to pay for this thing. When we try and ban it and regulate it out of existence or tax it out of existence, in the case of tobacco, people find a way of supplying it and making stupendous amounts of money. And when there's stupendous amounts of money to be made doing something illegal, violence soon follows. What a mystery.
This happened literally the other day. We were in Mentone the morning after this happened. There was a tobacco shop, of course, burnt down. And, obviously the two shops next to it suffer as well.
Yep.
And, it's just ashes now.
But don't you know, this will have the organised crime syndicates absolutely shaking in their boots. Tasmania have announced a crackdown.
Oh, even better.
Yeah,
Hang on, let's
zero
play this quickly.
tolerance.
Destroyed as Melbourne's tobacco turf war roars back to life. It's the third time the shop has been hit in the past 6 weeks.
Another tobacco shop up in flames. A tale Mentone locals know all too well.
Ever since they opened that shop, it's just been going on. Firebombing, trying to break in. It's a smoke war.
Around 11 last night, neighbours woke to the sound of arsonists ramming the store front.
I thought someone was trying to get into our apartment. There's just some type of, I heard a bang.
The whole attack was over in moments.
Anyway, this just keeps happening. And this is because of our government getting involved in things that they think they can do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just makes opportunity for organised crime.
Tasmania is an interesting one because it's obviously a very lucrative market. There's not a lot of people there, but there's double the number of heads. So they do go through a lot of cigarettes. I love you, Tasmania. Sorry. I just couldn't help myself. But also New South Wales have announced they're doing a spectacular crackdown. It was newsworthy. It was all over the news. They have shut down no less than 8 illegal tobacco shops in the last week in New South Wales. That's right. A state with over 6 million people in it. They've shut down 8 illegal tobacco shops in the last week. So that's a crackdown.
I can't say I ever look at Tassie News, but here we are.
Yeah.
New laws to crack down on illegal vape and tobacco retailers. Now, I happen to know on good authority that all of these shops still sell all these products.
Those two blokes, is it just me or do they look like they're out of a promo poster for Shaun of the Dead? Okay? They are straight out of a comedy zombie flick.
He has like 5 chins. That's a very unflattering photo.
What's going on with his head angle? Like the whole
and the tie.
It is straight out of a zombie comedy.
It's like
flick.
the character's just like.
I'm sorry, Tasmania, but if that's your best and brightest,
it's not ideal.
Not a great.
I'm glad to see someone wearing a poppy for Remembrance Day. Though.
Well,
That's nice.
Good. That is good.
But yeah, this whole tobacco thing. This is going to be controversial. I loathe smoking.
Sure.
I'm anti-smoking. I don't care that people do it, but around me, I mean, I only have one lung, for God's sake, so it's not good.
That's why I haven't asked if I can have a cigar during one of our live shows.
Yeah, I prefer you did.
Yeah.
But like...
I got that vibe.
G was a smoker.
Yeah.
I get that people do it. I personally don't like it, but I would never say that it should be illegal because I don't like it. I'm grateful that we no longer have non-smoking sections in restaurants because I've never understood that. But
the smoke knows not to cross over.
Yeah,
in that egg where the little sign is.
Yeah,
hold up.
But I will say this, not that I nightclub anymore.
Yeah.
I actually miss the smoking in those kind of establishments because wowee, did it stink once that smoke was taken away. But on this, if someone really wants to do something for their for whatever reason, who are we to say that they can't?
And
Like if they want to just smoke, let them.
Yeah. Every single argument against smoking, or I should say every single argument in favour of banning cigarettes or taxing them to the point that we do has... Beg your pardon.
You're right there, dude.
Yeah, sorry. Has now completely failed.
Yeah.
The tax office have admitted to the media that they are no longer trying to track the size of the illegal tobacco market. Now, I actually think that's a lie. I think they very much have a very clear idea. They don't want to admit how bad it is.
Yeah.
It is now believed, and this is flipped around. So you go back about 5 years, and I don't have the exact figures, so don't at me if I get this a little bit wrong. But about 5 years ago, it was something like 20% of the tobacco market was illegal. Now, the most recent figures that we do have say that 80% of the tobacco market is illegal. 4 out of every 5 durries being sold or smoked in this country right now got through untaxed. This is the biggest of big business. This is bigger than the cocaine trade, bigger than ice and ecstasy and party drugs. This is the biggest money spinner in Australia right now, is figuring out how to get cigarettes through customs untaxed. And obviously customs officers, there are some of them that will be on the take and they'll turn a blind eye for a fee and these sorts of things. That's always the way. I'm sorry, there's corrupt people in every single profession. We've tried this before. We have, and it doesn't work.
So contrast to this, because now that I unfortunately scroll TikTok occasionally, I witnessed this before I saw anything about it. Like when you go on TikTok, it just shows you videos. You don't even have to search; they're just there.
Yeah.
And given what I was researching for my project, like I get a lot of young women now, right? So I'm just scroll. Anyway, I was like, I saw about 3 or 4 literally holding a ciggy.
Yeah.
And these kids couldn't have been more than, like I say kids, they couldn't have been more than like 20, 21.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a thing? We're like
We're
openly
back to that now,
smoking?
yeah. Yeah, we
and so, I looked at this article the other day. This is from Bloomberg.
Yeah.
But Gen Z is smoking again.
Yeah,
They are romanticizing cigarettes again.
You know what it actually is, in my opinion? They are romanticizing rebellion. There are so few ways that you're allowed to be subversive and step out of line now. This is one of the few. This is now, because of the black market in Australia specifically, this is one of the few ways that you can dabble on the fringes of that kind of illegal, illicit world. You get that little adrenaline rush of and I said when they were talked about printing smokers' warnings on the sides of cigarette sticks themselves.
Yeah.
All they're going to do is when people are gathered around smoking, you're going to know who to talk to find out where to get cheap smokes.
Yeah.
It'll be the person that doesn't have that printing. In the same way as if there's a person with a cigarette packet and it doesn't have all the Australian plain packaging stuff on it, you know they've got a supply. You know if you're smoking the tax stuff and you can't afford it, you're going to strike up a conversation with that person and say, hey, listen, what's the deal? Where are you getting that from?
So this picture here, this is Dua Lipa. She's a big pop star.
Yep.
And she's...
I love that you know me so well that you even have to explain Dua Lipa. No, I do know who Dua Lipa is.
Yeah. She did like a photo dump. This isn't her page, but obviously everything gets screen grabbed.
Yeah.
Literally lighting one up, which is, this is the thing. So what is this page? Sig Fluid says, these are all people who are out having it. Is that Kirsten Dunst?
Kirsten Dunst?
Kirsten. Is it Kirsten, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look at all these people just having a durry.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I didn't realise that Kirsten Dunst was such a smoker.
Well, there you go. But a lot of these people are like, Kevin Rudd was a smoker, or probably still is, I don't know. A lot of public figures are smokers and they try and hide it. They've gone through this phase.
Justin Bieber?
I got no idea.
That wouldn't be a smoke.
He would be smoking all kinds of things.
Yeah.
We went through a phase where you wanted to be seen as a non-smoker, and so you would hide the smoking. We've gone through a brief phase where cigars have been made acceptable again, and that happened relatively quickly. And I'm not at all surprised to discover that actually cigarettes are following. Now, I consider cigars and cigarettes to be completely different things.
Yeah.
I've never smoked a cigarette in my life and I don't plan to, but I do enjoy a good cigar. And it's the ritual and everything else. I've talked about that before. But it does not surprise me at all in an age where rebellion is so difficult now because we're told everything's permissible. But we're also micromanaged in every single way at the same time. Like we have this crazy dichotomy going on in our society. Yeah, cigarettes is a way of being subversive.
I think that, I don't know, I think we've gotten to a point in society where we are judged and criticised for everything.
Yeah.
And the purity tests that were put on us by the left have become so unmanageable that people are now like, again, I've got another video that I'm working on that's, I'm calling it the clapback rebellion.
Right.
Where people are reclaiming that. And they're like, you're offended? good.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, you couldn't say that 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think the cigarette thing is kind of like, yeah, I'm smoking.
Yeah.
And?
And, yeah.
You know, that's the new thing. Yeah, I am doing that. What's your point? Because I think it's gotten to a point where we are so micromanaged by people who have absolutely zero, and you're going to quote Tolkien, I can hear it coming. You don't even have to say it. I just know that's the space where you're like, don't make me say it, and then you say it.
No, I think it's a different quote I'll be reaching for if you're going where I think you're going.
We'll go on, say it.
Well, you were heading towards talking about how we're so micromanaged by people that have no skin in the game.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. And so I won't go for the Tolkien quote. Instead, it's a Thomas Sowell, I believe. I think it was original to him. He might have been quoting someone else.
Thomas Sowell from the NSN?
Not Sewell. Thomas Sowell, the African-American author who is one of the great communicators. He's still alive, and I really hope I get to interview him or at least meet him before he passes. He's quite elderly now. Who said that there is no dumber way to make a decision than to put it in the hands of someone who pays no price for being wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, he's such a smart man.
His ability to encapsulate very big ideas into a small number of very digestible words is quite phenomenal.
It's a skill that I don't have.
Correct. The same. That's why
evidently my thesis shows me that I'm not good at it.
But that's why my videos, like I aim to do 8-minute videos and they turn into 15-minute videos because it's so hard to condense ideas down. That's like it takes a lot of skill.
I also think, though, when it comes to condensing things down, sometimes you can't. I do think that nuance is important, which is why I feel like this podcast does well, because you and I talk about big, meaty ideas and we'll spar with each other and you sort of start to peel it back and unpack it and go, well, what about in this scenario and whatever? Because there is nuance. Life is messy. I don't think you can summarize it always in these cute little clicky quotes and whatever.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to things like crime and law and, there's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be situations where you go, ooh, curveball.
Yeah, and there is always a counterpoint to pretty much everything. There's almost nothing in the world to which there is no clarification, counterpoint, context in which maybe it needs to be viewed differently, what have you. So that debate is important to have, but nevertheless, the ability to just take big ideas, it's attributed to one of the authors who said, I apologize for writing such a long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one. And it's just such a beautiful, because that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have time, you just quickly get the thoughts out of your head and it becomes this.
Yeah.
If you have time, you then take that thing and go chunk, 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 chunk. There it is.
Not to bring up masters, but I know you guys are desperate for a drink. So quick.
Here we go.
There we go. That was something I really struggled with, right? Because I wanted to do it justice. And I felt like, we were meant to do a 5,500 thesis.
And is there an upper boundary, or is it just like you have to get over this word?
So this was the thing. I asked this and no one could clarify that. No one could give me a definitive answer. There wasn't it was more of it's frowned upon.
Yeah.
Because the other part of for a normal master's, you would have a 10,000. But because I had the exhibition and that's part of the mark. Right. And I went to them, I said, look, you've told me to go and do all this theory. I've done all this theory. There is no way I can take all these meaty topics and explain it in a way that is succinct and understandable in a couple of words. You just can't. Even when I was I put it into Perplexity because I find that writes better than ChatGPT. I'm like, condense this down. I'm like, no, you've taken out all the meat.
Yeah.
That sounds stupid.
You've talked about that before, how you used to summarize things. And in my head, I'm like, well, yeah, you will get the summary, but you won't get so I'm reading a book right now, The Infinite Game.
Yeah.
Simon Sinek, I think it is. Honestly, I don't care for his videos.
Yeah.
I don't love his stuff online.
He's a bit pompous. Every now and then he's all right, but...
And I'd heard bad things about the book.
Yeah.
But I picked it up because it came up in a conversation with someone that I like and trust, and I thought, okay, I probably should give this book a go. I'm actually really getting a lot of value out of it.
Yeah,
and I'm getting a lot of value out of the very things that others criticize. There's too many anecdotes and this kind of takes too long to move to the next point. No. I'm actually getting a lot of value out of a lot of that stuff in there.
Is it because of our short attention spans? That's why we've gone away from that. Like when I tell a story, when we're rewatching the podcast and I'm going on a bender and having a story, I'm like, get to the point. But when I'm telling the story, I'm like, it doesn't make sense if I don't give you all these little bits and pieces.
Yeah, it is a balancing act. But I would suggest that as a society, we haven't gone away from that. There are more books than ever before. There are more books on every topic under the sun.
People aren't reading them?
No, well, people are. The business model is strong. People are making good money selling books. But we have more time. This is one of the things that we do now that we didn't used to.
Speaking of which, we both have books, so feel free to buy them.
Go and buy them. I would grab my sign and say goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com. But today I'm wearing my sign. Goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com. No, so the business model is clearly working. People are reading books, and they are reading these books that can be overly verbose. So the number of times I've finished a book and gone, that could have been an email, right? That's what I'm appreciating about Simon's book, The Infinite Game, is that I don't feel like it could have been an email. The anecdotes do actually contain meaning, and they are actually helping me. I'm finding it actually a remarkably valuable book. I haven't finished it yet.
Well, anecdotes also help you retain information. Without
Correct.
them, you can't relate it back to something that you know so you can remember it.
Well, we've talked about that. There's the speed of comprehension, the speed of memory. And then the speed of imagination is actually the one that really embeds it. When you slow down to the point that you're actually engaging the imagination, now you'll remember. And so a book with a lot of anecdotes will do that for you. So, but the business model is strong. People are buying books. People do have time for it. And that's partly because of the luxury of how we live today.
Yeah.
Right? People today actually do have time. We look back, we romanticize the 1950s or 1960s, or perhaps romanticize a period before then, thinking, oh, everyone had so much time, etc. Well, they had a lot of time together. That's true. But they weren't doing leisure activities for the most part, right? They were working because they had to survive. Today, we actually have time. We choose not to spend it together. We could. But as a culture, we have more time, but we don't tend to spend it doing constructive things. We tend to have found amusements. But there is a percentage of people that will sit there and read a book from start to finish.
Yeah.
And, I look forward to being able to do that. I used to be able to read books in a day because I could arrange my week where I had a good 6-hour block. I could just sit there and
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore. I
struggle
look
with
forward
that
to the
now.
day when I can.
I miss reading. I've got oh my God, you've seen my big bookshelves downstairs.
Yeah. My to read pile is out of
and
control.
so behind the couch we put because the couch was touching the wall, and I said to G, I'm like, I want a little console table there so I can put my cup of tea and then I can put my books to read. And I also, I have a nasty habit of acquiring books quicker than I read them. So I only bought that table about a month ago. It's already got about 7 books on it. I'm like,
So I end up with a pile of books, and then I'm like, oh, that pile's getting unstable. I'll just move that over there so it doesn't fall over on the kids.
And the new one.
And then I just start a new pile in the same spot. So I've got, I think, 4 piles currently sitting around the house.
Every year I do my social media hiatus, and I normally do it for 4 weeks, but last year I pushed it out to 6.
Okay.
This year I want to try and push it out for 8, which is hard.
It's going to be difficult if you're working in this space.
Well, yeah. So then I'm like, okay, well that's exactly what I said. So I'm like, all right, if I'm doing this for work, what do I do? So I delete it off my phone.
Right.
So I can't do the old, just pick it up and look.
Scroll, yeah.
It's only on my computer, and then I upload, and then I have to close it off because that's what robs you. Because the reason I delete it off my phone and everything is then when I was reading, and for the first week you are still reaching for your phone.
Yeah.
And then around the second, third week you stop reaching.
Yeah.
And then you can be super focused on things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. What was that? I didn't quite catch that. I was just checking out the scores in the game and the thing. Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry, we're still here.
Yeah.
Right.
And you say, do you know, nothing annoys me more. I have a friend who does this, and she's talking to you, and she's doing this, and she's like, yeah. And then you're like, did you hear anything? And she's like, yeah. You were saying.
Yeah. And then what they do is they pick up the threads of what they were saying before you started talking. They don't pick up where the conversation got to.
I actually find it really rude. If you have
it is rude.
If you're doing that to me, I will literally push your phone down. I'll be like,
it's an unfortunate reality that sometimes, particularly if you are in work time, that it can be necessary. But by and large, I try to either be with the phone or without the phone.
Yeah.
In terms of I'm not going to sit here talking to you doing this. I'm either talking to you or I'm saying, sorry, I need to take care of this.
I have this
and get into
new
my phone.
nasty habit. Well, it's a productivity thing, but also it's like I keep making excuses as to why my phone needs to be on my desk.
Ah, yes.
So when I'm using AI, I find it's really annoying to type what I want to say. I just say it to it.
Yeah.
And so when my laptop's plugged into my screen and everything, it doesn't use the speaker of this, so I can't speak to my phone, my laptop. So I speak to my phone.
Yeah.
And then of course my phone's in my hand again. I'm like,
Yes.
I kind of escape you. It's terrible, but I find that's the best way to use AI is talk to it.
Well, I haven't actually gone that far yet. I get really annoyed when I don't have my computer because I'm a touch typer, and on the phones you're just stuck with these little tiny keyboards and thumbs, and I'm getting RSI in this hand from. Actually, this is a legit thing. Since I started doing as much content, this little finger here has begun to actually ache because that's the one that holds the phone.
Yeah.
And now I spend so much time on the phone that
You
this
need
has
one of
actually
these
become
bad
a problem.
boys.
But it makes the phone so chunky. I don't have any case. I live dangerously.
Yeah, you do live dangerously.
I don't have any phone case at all. It's got scratches and dings
I did
and all
do
kinds
that,
of stuff.
and then I almost blew up my phone.
Well, I have broken 2 screens over the years. I went for a long time having never broken one, and then I broke 2 in quick succession. I was very annoyed.
I love this thing. This is like the silliest little...
Yeah, no. My
works.
wife has a similar thing.
Look at that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. After my little escapade of almost blowing myself up in bed, I now appreciate and respect my phone, and it will always have a case. Anyway, this is not really a tangent because this is a political topic, but this just popped up, and I don't think you would have seen it. So, Piers Morgan apologises to tennis star Novak Djokovic for previously criticising him for not getting the COVID-19.
Wow.
Piers doesn't know where he sits. He flip-flops more than a fish out of water. Piers does not know... He's on the wrong side every time, and then he flips. Every time.
Okay, so, but hang on, let me dive into that a little bit, because that's interesting. Does he flip-flop or does he flip? Because those are actually 2 very different things. Watching someone go back and forth is a very different thing to watching someone admit that they've changed their mind.
No, I think he flops on a few things, because you think he's turned a corner, and then he comes out with something stupid.
On a different issue, though?
Yeah, maybe.
Because
that's what you're saying.
He's got a worldview, and then he's realising that individual issues are wrong, but he hasn't yet realised that the reason he keeps being wrong on the issues is because the worldview through which he views it
so
is
maybe
wrong
he
to
flips.
start with.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Yeah, I would consider him to be a flipper, not a flip-flopper.
Because I can't point to how many times he's been on the wrong side of history, and then he comes out going,
But how many people admit it? How many people come out and go, not many.
Got to give him that.
Not many. Like you got to give.
Should we watch this quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see what he says.
I'm going to start by making an apology.
Before I go in, this takes an incredible amount of humility to admit that you're wrong.
Yeah,
so I will
give
absolutely
him that.
This
is why I wanted to dive into that a little bit, because I actually think there's more substance here.
Yeah. Okay. Can I make it bigger?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's do that.
I was very censorious about you over the COVID scandal that you got caught up in. And in a nutshell, you got thrown out of Australia over what seemed to be, on the face of it, from what the media were being told and what was being reported, was you trying to bend the rules of getting into play in the Australian Open without having taken the COVID vaccine. And I was actually quite censorious about a lot of people at the time. And I've since apologized to some people for being too tough on them, because once it became clear that if you had the vaccine, it made no difference to whether you could then transmit the virus, clearly, at that point for me, it becomes a personal choice. If the potential danger is irrelevant compared to whether you have the jab or not. And so I have, on that basis, said, look, I believe the vaccines were important. I think they saved a lot of lives. I had lots of people in my life at the time who were going through a terrible time with COVID. One of my co-workers on the morning show I was doing, her husband was in a coma from COVID. He sadly died. A friend of mine said goodbye to her mother on FaceTime, who was in a care home and died from COVID, and so on. I knew lots of people. So it felt quite personal. It felt quite visceral to me, but I was too censorious. And when more information emerged about your situation, the fact you'd had COVID several weeks before you went to Australia, the fact that you hadn't actually done anything wrong on the form filling, the fact that in the end it became a political decision to throw you out based on likely public anger if they didn't take action. When I look back on that and reflect on that, I would like to say I'm sorry for the intemperate language I used against you. Because I didn't know you. I took what I was reading and hearing at face value. It turned out to be more complicated. Big mistake. And yeah, I'm sorry for over-egging the rhetorical souffle.
I appreciate that very
Let
much.
me get that off my chest.
Honesty, thank you so much. It was difficult times, and you know, state of emergency globally. I understand. You know, we've been through hell globally, all of us on this planet, and you know, the only thing I would add, not to really dig deeper into this whole situation on the COVID and vaccination, is that I was never a proponent of anti-vax or pro-vax. I was always freedom of choice. So, and that was misinterpreted. You know, I was
Class act.
I was going to say the exact. Hang on, stay on that shot. I was going to say the exact same words, but I cannot get over the fact that the sequence of lights on the two sides of the background are mismatched.
Yes, that was bothering me too. I'm glad you saw that.
Yeah, no, guys.
I thought I was being pedantic.
Get your set design consistent. I mean, oh gosh. Sorry. No, he's always been a class act. He was classy all the way through that, actually. He showed an astonishing amount of grace. He's got access to the internet. He could have been saying and doing any one of all kinds of different things on the internet at any given moment in time. How many people have we seen have a rush of blood to the head under far less duress than what he was placed under? His number one status was under threat. He was shoved into a quarantine hotel instead of in the hotel that he'd booked and paid for with his team preparing for the Open, all of that stuff. The humiliation, the things that were said about him by Piers Morgan, among others.
Remember the two Channel 7 reporters who got caught on the hot mic with Rebecca Madden and the other guy?
I do.
They were calling him an arsehole.
Yeah. He's shown incredible grace all the way through that, and I think he won a lot of hearts with that. But again, I mean, this is that guilty until proven innocent thing. You know, this person hasn't done the thing that we're all sure that he should do, and so we're going to crucify him. You know, how many people have been lynched over the years or executed over the thousands of years of sort of the history of government and civilization over just a momentary outrage that people would later reflect on and go, hang on.
I was going to say this before when it came to the rape thing, but it felt like the wrong story to sort of make this point. But as someone who was falsely accused of something, it doesn't matter what I do. People will still think I'm some kind of con woman. It doesn't like the story will never go.
There's still people convinced that Amber Heard was the victim.
Yeah. Like, and there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can say. Like, that is set in concrete for these people. And it's a stigma. And, like, we're so far beyond it now that people don't care until it pops up.
What's interesting to me is that there's a mindset shift that I managed to achieve before COVID, actually, but it was definitely cemented during COVID. Once somebody's opinion is set in stone, they are no longer relevant.
Yeah.
They cease to be relevant.
Well, it's a sign of low intelligence because the true sign of wisdom is the ability to change your mind.
Sure, and the ability to entertain ideas without agreeing with them is a very important indicator of intelligence. But also, if I'm in the business of trying to make the world a better place through the battle of ideas, the contest of ideas. That means the only people that I'm actually really focusing on and paying attention to are the people that might be willing to change their ideas.
Yeah.
The people who are locked in to hate me, and by the way, the people who are locked in to love me, actually they kind of fade.
Yeah.
Neither of those groups is actually relevant in terms of my mission, in terms of the work that I'm trying to do and the difference that I'm trying to make. I'm only focused on the people that can change their minds. And so when I get attacked by somebody, one of the things that I'm looking for in that comment is this a good faith criticism of me from someone who's capable of changing their minds?
Yeah.
Because if it is, I might engage.
Yeah.
Or is this just an ad hominem attack? Is this just someone venting who is incapable or unwilling? Their opinion is set in stone. And I might still respond, but at that point, I'm not responding for their sake. I'm responding for the sake of anyone else who might come across that. But that person has faded.
Yeah.
They don't actually count anymore.
I've noticed this a lot, like, how do I say this? Sounds really weird. But when you're someone that has something to offer people, you do get a lot of people around you, right? Like you get some hanger-oners. And I definitely had that in my clothing company. And even now, like it's so weird when people come up to you and they want a selfie with you. Because do you know what I mean? Like I'll never get used to that.
So you're framing that in the sense of people who want something from you. I frame that very differently.
No, I didn't mean that.
Okay.
I mean, like, I'm saying two different things at the same time.
Sorry,
so you'll have people who want to be in your orbit for a couple of reasons. Like, for example, I'll use my old example. With my clothing company, I had access to all the best athletes. I had clothing that I often gave away for free.
Yeah.
I would pay for people to travel with me because I didn't want to go on my own, all that sort of stuff. And, I got something, they got something. But when I felt like my boundaries were crossed or when people were taking advantage or maybe they were hanging on for the wrong reasons, I would, to be fair, in fair criticism of me is I'm unceremonious with that.
Yeah.
Boom, done.
Yeah, done. Yeah.
Cut. There is no forgiveness there. It's just like, see you later, bye. And that can be jarring. And then that person then becomes my biggest hater overnight. And I dare say most of those people are on Tattle Life. Anyway, what I notice about this is as soon as you are no longer feeding those people, they then turn around and say all the stuff that you didn't give them. So every good deed you did up until that point becomes irrelevant. And it's the one thing that you didn't do or you did do or whatever.
The time you said no.
And so when it comes to stuff like this, people want to paint you as a villain. I feel like that's we're predetermining people to be the villain until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like Novak and stuff like that, can you imagine how much hate he has copped whenever he does the Australian Open from the crowd and things like Australians have been so awful to that man.
Well, funnily enough, was it 2 years ago he got a standing ovation, or he got like a massive cheer when he came in? It's I think Melburnians by and large actually have softened on him a great deal.
Did he get a standing? Is that a thing?
I'm pretty
I
sure.
don't remember
I'm pretty
that.
sure Novak Djokovic. Just Google it. I'm pretty sure that when I think it was the next time he came out in the Australian Open, after the one that he was barred from.
Yeah.
He got an enormous round of applause.
I thought he got booed.
Are there going to be people there booing? Sure. I mean, how many times have you seen the headlines?
You're right. No, you heard. A standing
I'm always
ovation
right, Carly.
from the Serbian crowd, though.
Okay, sure.
Here we go.
There's a
Hang
decent
on.
amount of them.
How do you know this about bloody pop culture? A huge ovation from Melbourne crowd on his Australian Open return as fans get behind the Serbian following his deportation nightmare last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
After being warned they'd be kicked out if they beat him. I don't agree with that. Like, don't be like up there. Like,
Novak Djokovic.
yeah. I think he got some love.
Yeah,
you
good.
know.
So he should.
And yeah, absolutely so he should. But he's been classy all the way through, and I think that's part of the respect. Even people that didn't necessarily think that he should be allowed to play because he hadn't been jabbed, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They can't really deny that he kept his composure and he remained classy throughout. Can I touch on the selfie thing for a second, though, because I don't want to kind of leave that as an unresolved thread.
I was going to make a point, but you go.
You know, being in the public eye it's a two-way thing. And there are some people who think, well, I want to get, it's actually, to quote Eminem, does this qualify as a tangent? If I'm quoting Eminem, are we on a tangent?
Yeah, that's a tangent.
Tangent time, tangent time, tangent time, tangent time.
I thought you might have forgotten the words. It's been a while.
Look, it's thankfully the lyrics are fairly simple. I've got those squared away.
Hey man, you're not a rock star. I am. So, you know, over 3,000 streams on Spotify. Bona fide rock star. What's it take to go platinum? How many? 100,000? We can do it, guys. Go.
Some talent.
Stream Chimera on Spotify.
What's it take to go platinum?
Wouldn't
talent.
it be amazing if I Bradbury'd
it in? If you had
in?
talent, yeah.
Imagine if I Bradbury it in and then I get like a platinum or something.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, fantastic.
So fame is a two-way street, and you had that Eminem lyric, wanting to have my cake and eat it too, wanting to be famous, but then left alone in public. And there is this reality that if we are doing what we do well, people are going to want to say hi when they see us.
Yeah. So just to clarify that, because I wasn't saying it was a negative thing. The selfie thing is more like it's so overwhelming because I feel like just random Joe Schmo Carlz. For example, at my exhibition, lots of people came in to say hi. They wanted a selfie, and I'm like, with me?
Yeah.
What do you want one with me for?
Well,
like it's lovely, but it's just I'm just from someone who's on the other side of it. It's weird.
Well, you put me in my box when we were walking together in the city, heading towards the Dave Rubin event, and two people stopped and wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, wow.
I'm important. No.
But no, I mean, I've been having this to one degree or another since about 2011 was when it started for me. So I've had a bit more time to get used to it and kind of process it and to realize if you want the relationship with viewers, which is ultimately, we don't necessarily see that it's a relationship, but it actually is.
It's a parasocial relationship.
It's a parasocial relationship, and people want to know. I wonder what Carlz has. They'll see a piece of news, and the next thing in their head is, I bet you that's going to come up in the Oddcast.
I get that all the time.
Carlz is going to go off about that one, right? There's a relationship there. And there was a little while when I was living in Fitzroy and I was having a lot more negative interactions. People wanted to have a go at me. I was kind of like,
Really? I've never had a negative reaction. I've never had someone who doesn't like me say something.
Strictly about climate change stuff.
Okay.
Strictly about climate. And none of them have ever done anything. They've just wanted to have words
So
with
they
me.
actually came up to you?
Yeah, they come up to me and want to remonstrate about that. It wasn't a huge number, but it was a few in a short space of time. And I had to kind of process. I'm like, is this the price? Because at the time I wasn't doing this seriously. This was pure hobby on the side. I was doing other stuff for work. And I resolved that actually I need to consider it a privilege every single time. Someone wants to come and talk to me. Someone wants to come and say hi. And I have to keep in mind, as much as is humanly possible, because people get you in different moments and you know all of that. And that's real. That's a thing. But as much as humanly possible, I need to remember that for this person, this is going to be their enduring memory of me.
Yeah.
Right? This is probably their one time. No, I'm not saying this is the highlight of their life. I'm just saying that this is the thing that their memories of me will be built on.
Well, you see so many stories about never meet your heroes, and then someone meets. So I saw a story. Do you know who Jared Leto is?
I know the name. He did The Joker, I think.
So actor, singer, and to be honest, I actually quite like his band.
Yeah.
But he himself seems to be a real jerk.
Right.
And I saw this clip the other day, and it was what was her name? Taryn Manning, who's also an actress. And she was on a podcast and she was talking about how Jared Leto is a jerk. And you don't often hear celebrities saying that someone else is a jerk.
Yeah.
And I was so intrigued and I watched it. And she was saying, like, you know, back when they were both sort of struggling actors or getting into it, whatever, she was working at a burrito bar or, like, you know, selling burritos. And Jared would come up there and the burrito at the time was $7.50, which is quite cheap.
Yeah.
And he would give her shit about the price every single time, like, oh, wow, $7.50, that's so expensive. And she's like, we knew each other. He knew that I knew that he was going to say the same thing, and he knew that I couldn't do anything about the price, but he went without fail, went through that every time.
Yeah.
And anyway, she was like, then she was telling a story how he was at a signing. Oh, sorry, no, in the comments, people were sharing their experiences with Jared.
Yeah.
And this person wrote a thing going, he was one of my favorite actors, and I had a copy of Requiem for a Dream, which is one of his big movies.
Right.
And it's one of those like generation icon movies, like coming of age kind of things that people like, oh, that was my movie. Anyway, went up to Jared when he was at a 30 Seconds to Mars event, that's his band, and asked him to sign the DVD. And Jared literally got it and like frisbeed it and said, I'm only signing stuff from my band or my music career. And I just think to myself, what happened to, like, was he always that way, or is that a Hollywood thing? Because this is something I'm very conscious of. You know, you get to a point where people start to know you, and like even now, like people are reaching out, they want to work with me or they want to sponsor me or whatever it is. I never want to get to that point where I become so out of touch that I feel like, you know, that I'd never want to be that person.
So where it gets really tricky is where I am right now, where the volume is simply too much. And I've prided myself previously in responding to everybody. And I get why people want to do that. People of good faith who end up with a bit of public profile, they're like, no, if these people have taken the time, they've written to me, there's something that they care about, I want to respond to everybody. It's not physically possible anymore.
It is really hard.
It's like genuinely well beyond the point of it being physically possible for me to actually read. I can't even read every message that comes to me, let alone respond.
To people in my DMs. Like what I do is when I open my Instagram DMs, I will do at least one or two scrolls. But like, and this isn't a bad thing. I don't want people to stop doing it. But I also feel terrible because people will send me like a big story or a big paragraph. And like, I'll click on it and go, shit, I'll read that. And I mark it as unread. But that doesn't actually, it says it's seen. And I just didn't respond. And then I'm like, I will come back to it because I don't have time to read this now. And then sure enough, 50, and I do that so often. And I'm like, only open it if you're actually going to respond. Because I feel terrible. But this is my segue into this. I never want to be this bloke. Did you see him on Joe Rogan?
I haven't seen him. I've heard some of the quotes. It's astonishing how out of touch you can be with the common man, hey?
So this is, for those listening, this is Russell Crowe, and he was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
And this is a direct quote. We're a little bit lucky at the moment. We have a prime minister who is very much trying to help everyone. He was literally sucking up to elbow.
Yeah, big
like
puff piece.
Basically like acting like a propaganda.
Now, hang on. Sorry, my brain just made a little bzzz. Isn't he an owner in the footy team that Albo is the number one fan, like has the number one fan position of? Just Google Russell Crowe football team. I could be completely wrong on this. My brain's just gone a little spark in the back.
South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Yeah, and then Google Anthony Albanese South Sydney Rabbitohs. Whether he's actually a fan, because I reckon he is. My little spider senses are tingling here.
Oh, they're buddies. Lifelong supporter.
Yep.
They're buddies.
So that'll be that. That'll be that. He's just gone. He's gone on to the
piece.
biggest platform in the world to pump up the tires of his mate.
Guys,
Anthony
let me know in the
Albanese.
comments, because I'll be reading the comments. What did Joe push back on this? Because I haven't watched the episode. I haven't watched a Joe Rogan in ages.
I haven't. Yeah, look, I like Joe and I like what he's done and I respect what he's accomplished and I like the fact that he's got this platform that he just hands it out and lets people on and everything. Yes, of course, I'd love to be on. But even putting that aside, I think what he's done is amazing. But also, a lot of the people on there are idiots. Like, you know, you can't have a guest a day for year after year after year and not have a bunch of people on there that you're like, really? You know, and that's happened. Of course,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
happened.
sure. Because, you know, I mean, you see this often, like Hollywood celebrities talking to us, talking down to us, how we should be thinking. And I mean, that was the whole woke era, wasn't it? That's how it sort of really got legs. To see someone like Crow saying that, I just think to myself, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Did you speak about like all the kids getting murdered? Did you speak about
cost of living,
cost of
the
living.
realities of living with, you know, energy prices the way they are, all that stuff.
Yeah, like just I never like I hope that I'm wealthy. I hope that I achieve great success, but I never ever want to be in that position where I forget.
Yeah, and it's just that far out of touch. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, I do have a tangent for you. This has got nothing to do with anything. I just thought it was funny.
Ooh.
So yesterday, like my mind wanders, right? So I've been.
Is it planning on coming home anytime soon? Because we could really use
I've been
a
asking
second
that
brain.
for 39 years.
We could use a second brain in this show.
I was waiting for it to actually appear, but anyway, so I've been approaching this thing called raw dogging, and it's not in the sense that you think it is.
Okay, what other sense is there?
No, so raw dogging in the new sense, or the non-sexual sense, is experiencing life without technology. So, for example,
without the headphones.
no
or
headphones, no music.
Yeah.
And I used to be, up until a few years ago, I was the person that went everywhere with earbuds in so I could listen to music, whatever I was doing, always had a YouTube playing, always had music on, and driving in the car with music. And something's happened. I think I'm just overwhelmed. I just don't want anything. I just want quiet. And so I'm raw dogging things. I'm driving in the car and it's quiet.
Yeah.
I'm in my office with no music on.
Yeah.
And this is very different for me. Anyway, so I was sitting there, and when I'm trying to think about things or I'm trying to be creative, sometimes I'll like lean back on my chair and just sort of like stare and think and whatever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden this like do-do-do-do-do-do
That
pops
little
into my head.
song that's playing in the back of your head.
Yeah, and like,
always.
and it popped in, and I was like, what's that thing? And I was like, and, you know, it's like slowly coming into vision in my mind. I'm like, da 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 da. Do you know what I was singing?
I have no idea.
The Caramello Koala jingle from the 90s. It was like, they call me Caramello Koala. Anyway, that came into my head. How it got there, who knows? But the whole day, I have been singing that jingle. Anyway, G gets home and I tell him. And then all of a sudden, between the two of us, we'd have this riff-off of all the jingles from the 90s that we could remember. You just bought toothpaste, and it's like, it's bubblegum toothpaste, right? It's whitening toothpaste that tastes like bubblegum.
Sorry, is he 12?
They didn't have the normal one that he went. I'm like, this is a new one. I'll get this one.
Goodness.
Anyway, and then he's like, oh, it tastes like juicy fruit. And then he's saying the juicy fruit jingle. And I was like,
I can't. Juicy Fruit have a jingle?
yeah, I can't remember it now. But then I started singing the Mentos one, like Mentos better, Mentos fresher, Mentos better. Da, 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 da,
So
da.
you know that thing they say, you know, my brain is like my browser. It's running slowly. All the tabs are open, and one of them is playing music, but no one knows where it's coming from. Right? That's literally what's going on inside your head right
But then
now.
we were
Isn't it?
singing all these different jingles, and I was like, and what about this one? 1-800-65-70-70. Oh.
Yes, roof seal.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do I remember this?
Goodness me.
How do I retain this?
Oh.
And it was just
It
one.
explains why nothing else sticks.
Who says that these jingles don't
Oh,
work?
they do. They're brilliant.
I still remember most of them, and oh god, we just kept going. It was so funny, and I like these are things I have not thought of in 20 years.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're there.
Well, they're attached to something. That's that thing we were saying before about memory.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
they work, man. Like, and remember we watched the other day. We watched an ad together, and we're like, "Wait, is this the ad?"
yeah.
It was a Vodafone ad, I
Yeah.
think. They're terrible. So the reason I brought that up is like marketing is having a massive shift, and I watch or I consumed so much content around this, whether it's marketing on digital, marketing in the fashion industry, beauty industry, whatever. And there's all this discussion now about authenticity. That's the new buzzword. But you cannot fake it. People keep trying. the thing that's now the most valuable thing for anyone that wants to build something on socials or like any brand is having an audience of diehard stans.
Yeah.
And they're yours. You cannot cultivate that in any other way. They are basically your babies, like the Oddies or whoever.
Yeah.
And you can't fake it. That comes from
that's right.
rapport, time together.
Relationship.
Yeah, it is a relationship.
It comes from relationship. So are you familiar with I think it was a book, but the idea of the 1,000 true fans?
Yes.
In any creative pursuit, once you've cultivated 1,000 true fans, these are people who, if you have an event, they'll show up to it.
Yeah.
If you post a piece of content, they'll look at it. If you release a book or an album or whatever it is that your art is, they're going to show up, they're going to buy it, etc. Once you've cultivated 1,000 true fans, then you've actually got the platform from which you can have a successful artistic career.
Yeah.
And where that leads to, and this is a little sideways step that'll blow your mind.
Oh, God.
A little artist by the name of Enya.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So she made a reference in an interview to the fact that she can just print money. When she wants, you're going to love this. Get your drinking glasses ready, guys. You're not going to see this coming. You are not going to see this coming. When she wants a pool in her house, instead of going and getting a loan from the bank, she goes and makes another album of Elvish music. She sings songs in Elvish as written by Tolkien. And she releases them as CDs. And there is a diehard group of people that will buy absolutely everything that she does. Every time she releases another one of those albums, her true fans come out of the woodwork, or the true fans of that particular art come out of the woodwork, and bang, she's got a new pool.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Time to drink, because I mentioned Tolkien.
Yeah, 100%.
So we've got to get to that point.
Enya's not someone I think about too often, but she was huge in the 90s.
And she did do some of the singing, beautiful singing in the Lord of the Rings movies. So she is connected to the franchise.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. She's connected to the franchise. It's not like a completely cynical exploitation. And these are songs that are written with lyrics that are correct as per Tolkien's creations of creation of Elvish, the Elvish tongue.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, there is a, what is it? There is a hand for every glove. There is a, there's a fan for everything.
Do you know what's interesting? Is that, I say that a lot, don't I? You know what's interesting? That'll go on the bingo card soon. I was thinking about my social media and how it's all of a sudden started growing. And maybe that's the algorithm in August with that change. And I think it's also just like, I've kind of got to a point where I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what you get.
I'm doubling down now.
Yeah, like I just don't care anymore. This is my art. This is my point of view. Like it, lump it. And I think when you have to get to that point, because that authenticity, you cannot fake it.
Yeah.
You can fake confidence.
Yeah.
But truly, like getting to that point where you're actually comfortable in yourself, that takes work.
There you go. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Simple as that. This is what I do.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, next topic.
Okay, so goodbye, Russell. You're off. Do we want to watch the JD Vance thing? Did we talk about it quickly?
I think we almost talked about that enough. There's really not a lot to say except that he enjoys a good piss take, and once again, the screechers on the left prove they have no sense of humour.
But look at how stern they look. They look so serious. Like it's not that deep.
Is that
guys.
Susan Ley on the right?
No.
Oh, that's something we haven't touched on. Is today's the D-Day of Susan Ley and the Liberal Party, and probably by the time the Oddies are watching this, they will know the outcome. We don't know the outcome.
See if there's
just
any
at the minute.
updates.
I doubt they would have made an announcement this soon. What time is it?
1:30.
Yeah. I'd be a bit surprised if there was any sort of an announcement just yet.
Tim Pool is playing with Grok. What did it say? Oh, Grok
Really?
hasn't answered.
This is what we're
No,
doing now?
I always find it funny when there's new changes to the algorithm.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so next one. Do you want to talk about the trans stuff? Because it all kind of ties into a couple of these stories.
Look, there's a couple of stories related to this. So firstly, the Olympics it hasn't formally been announced, but it's been as good as announced. It'll get formally announced in January. That
they're edging closer to banning it. And there's a couple of reasons. One is LA's the next Olympics, and obviously Trump has signed an executive order saying that men can't compete as women.
Yep.
But I just feel like, how are we having this conversation? So, okay, we need to... Elon Musk shared something. I'm never going to be able to find it, is it? Am I?
He tweets relentlessly. You've been scrolling for weeks.
So he basically said it's almost like, who could have seen that coming? And it was basically talking about you know, like there has been scientific evidence to say that men are stronger than women. They have a biological advantage.
Shocked, I tell you.
And anyway, so the reason, oh God, I've got too many tabs. The reason I pulled this up
one of
is
them
like,
playing music?
This is Dr. Helen Weberly, who's written, they weren't fucking born male. They are female and always have been and are now being excluded because their birth certificate was written wrongly and they have so many sodding hoops to jump through to correct it.
The depth of mental gymnastics. This is genuine mental illness on full display, not from the person who's claiming to be trans, but from the person who's saying that, exactly. Elon Musk says you are mentally ill. I could not agree more. Actually, I don't think he said it. That was someone else screenshot that and posted it. So that's not actually Elon Musk posting that on that thread. That's someone else posting a picture of Elon Musk saying that on that thread. But anyway, to sit there and say the medical staff who checked their genitalia got it wrong. I'm sorry?
Yeah. What?
What?
What happened to you, lady?
Yeah, that is full on. Like, that's a bitter clinger right there. She's going down with that ship.
Championing equality, trans rights, supporting gender identities, working for a better foundation.
And she has, of course, pronouns in her profile.
About gender identity and being transgender. And now I'm inviting you to join me. So
piss off, you mentally ill moron.
Well, it is really disturbing that people like that. Now, I think people like that should be free to speak. I like knowing where the crazy people are.
And we're free to mock her.
Correct. I like knowing where the crazy people are, so let the crazies be crazy in
public.
public.
No, Elon did write on her thing.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
That was...
All right.
Yeah, well done, Elon.
So, yeah, okay, cool. All right. I take that back. How are we still having this conversation? Now, the good news is, increasingly, not in Victoria yet, but in more and more states in Australia are now saying that transgender women, men who call themselves women, won't be housed in female prisons anymore.
Yes.
And this is, like, it's, again, insane that we ever thought differently. The Olympics are going to come out, and you're absolutely right. It's for commercial reasons because it would be a disaster for them. For commercial reasons, they're coming out and saying anyone who's transgender cannot compete in the female category. Now, that does not exclude them from the Olympics.
Yeah.
They can compete in the male category, which is effectively the open category.
If they're good enough.
Well, they would have to qualify on the same terms as everybody else.
Yes.
But remember, there's no biological difference. So if you're a woman who calls themselves a man, you should have no trouble competing with the people who've been men since they were born.
Yeah.
You should have no trouble doing that whatsoever.
Do you remember this? This is Laurel Hubbard.
Laurel Hubbard, yes.
What part of that is female?
What needs to happen next, I won't believe that the IOC are in any way serious until they strip the medals off people like Laurel Hubbard and award those medals to the person who should have actually won it, and bring them to the next Olympics that happens so that they can actually stand there and get the ceremony and get the applause that they deserved.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing. It's sort of like doing it well after the fact. It robs them of the moment.
The process has punished them already.
Yeah.
But that needs to be restored. I'll start to believe that they're serious then. But we are watching not the backlash. And I don't want a backlash. I don't want anyone to be living in fear. I don't want anyone to be suffering reprisals. None of that. I just want to no longer be punished for not participating in someone else's mental illness.
And I'm so sick of hearing about trans people. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it dominating the pop culture. I'm sick of it dominating politics.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do behind closed doors, whatever the fuck. Dress up as a woman, call yourself a woman. Yeah. I don't care. But no, you were not going to push that onto me. I do not care about it. I don't want to talk about it. I shouldn't have to bend the knee to it. Mm-hmm. And this is why I thought this was fantastic. Here we go. Okay, so I cannot find her name. I think it was Trish or Trisha. Mm-hmm. So this woman was in, did you see this?
I don't know what we're talking about.
Okay, so this story about the woman. So she's a lesbian. And she's a black lesbian. So, quota check here. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't be arguing against her.
There's at least one intersection there. Yep.
So, and I only bring that up because this matters to these people that we're trying to deal with. Mm-hmm. So she was in a woman's locker room in Gold's Gym in LA, and she was naked. She just showered or something, and she was getting changed. And a man entered that called himself a woman, and she, rightfully so, freaked out and was like screaming at him, going, "What are you doing in here?" And it caused such a fuss that Gold's Gym kicked her out. And then as she was being kicked out, she was screaming into the gym saying, I'm being kicked out because there was a man in the women's locker room. What are you doing to protect women?
Yeah.
And they sided with the man. So this is Gold's Gym, woman kicked out.
Here's a bravery check for you. Open the history tab.
My history tab? No.
That's why I said it's just open the history tab, let everybody see.
No. I don't want to go to prison. Sorry, I mean, this story where...
No, you won't have to go to prison. You just go to Switzerland.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Just book a very expensive holiday. That's my excuse.
That's right.
So this is the guy, right, who calls himself a woman.
Oh, it looks like a cat to me. Should call himself a furry. That's a very authentic looking cat. All right.
So...
We've got video.
Men, grown men with big dicks in the women's locker room. And that's why I'm getting kicked out. And I want to make sure the girls know.
So
fair enough.
This guy, so her name is Tish Hyman, sorry. And then the guy, what's his name? Alexis Black is calling himself.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring this up so I don't make a false statement. Let's just do that because he has got a criminal history of beating his ex-wife.
Oh, yeah.
So convenient that he's gone from being...
Convicted, so not accused, has been convicted.
Of brutally beating his ex-wife.
We can't quite see all of that in there.
Oh, sorry. Hang on, I'll go this one. Trans person accused of exposing self in women's locker room was convicted of brutally beating ex-wife before taking her
that's
name.
Creepy.
That's fucking... Tell me this is not mental illness.
Yeah, that is blatant mental health issues
right
there.
So the transgender person caught up in a viral Los Angeles gym bathroom row.
Caught up.
Caught up.
Notice the passive. Sorry, I'm gonna stop on this for a second. The passive language. This person wasn't the protagonist, wasn't the cause, wasn't actively going in there for the purpose of creating a ruckus or at the very least getting their jollies on. No. They got caught up in something.
Oh, it's just very unfortunate, bit of confusion. So, had been convicted of assaulting their now ex-wife while living in Ohio as a man before taking the victim's first name as their own.
Yeah, wow.
Wow. This person should be in jail.
That is why, in America, you're allowed to own a gun for self-defense. Because if I was her, I would be sleeping with a loaded gun near my bed.
Right? So this is him before he's transitioned. Looks the same as he does now. He's just clean-shaven.
Exactly.
His name was Grant Freeman. And at 32 years of old, he's got drug trafficking offences and beating his ex-wife.
Wow.
I
would love to know where this goes legally speaking. Because in Australia, she would get charged with transphobia.
Yeah. Well, but this is the thing. It happened in LA.
Yeah.
That's as woke as it gets in LA. So she's a lesbian black woman.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? How do they punish her?
This is their version of a female brothol worker using pepper spray to defend herself against an aggressive man.
Who comes out on top here?
Yeah.
And I just
gosh. I want to say this will be fun to watch. Obviously, the experience wasn't fun.
No,
I'm not making light of that. But are we allowed to have a little bit of Schadenfreude as this stuff falls apart? Like, are we allowed to enjoy this a little bit?
I think so.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I plan to.
Because, guarantee in 5 years' time, we're going to look back at all of this as like it was a bad dream.
A fever dream, yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to be like, wow, that was a really weird time in history. What happened there? Something was in the water.
Yeah, gosh.
The fact that you can have progressive women who advocate for feminism defending this dude.
Yeah, it's astonishing, isn't
who beat a woman and then took that woman, his victim's name, and became trans, and you're going to take his side over the black woman who also happens to be a lesbian. Yeah. This is like, no wonder this blew up. Yeah. I didn't know that last bit that he took his ex-wife's name. I didn't know that bit.
That adds colour to
that
the
adds
story.
A whole extra bit of like, someone's going to end up in a body bag.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, if I was his ex, I'd be sleeping with a gun next to the bed.
But this is what happens when you indulge these delusions. I'm not taking away from the fact that, yeah, maybe some of these people are actually suffering from mental illness. But when did mental illness become a get-out-of-jail-free card?
Yeah. Yeah, and become the excuse, the justification for all this
you
behaviour.
don't understand. Like, who was that guy that was recently saying that, it was in Canada. Of course it was in Canada. But it was a politician who was saying that I can't speak to that because I don't know their history as to what made them, resort to violent crime.
Right.
And he was defending the criminal because he didn't understand,
I don't know their history. Yeah.
What has, like, are you out of your fucking mind too?
Yeah.
Like, how can these people sit there, look me in the eyes and argue objectively over these things? You're crazy.
But that is actually why wokies get so angry when someone from a minority group does go out and actually make a life for themselves, because they're putting the lie to this claim of, he couldn't help it.
Yeah.
Well, if someone else who was also abused or was also from the same minority or also poor or also whatever it may be has actually gone out and dealt with that at least enough to be able to go out and be successful and have a family life and be a normal human being.
Yeah.
That is so, sorry, unrelated story, but it is kind of related. One of my first sort of real jobs, I worked at Pizza Hut for years and I ended up working in it as a cleaning contractor. I think I've mentioned it on the show before. I ended up, it was just a couple of week a job at Ajax Fasteners back when they existed down in Brayside or Braybrook, whichever one of the two it was. And they had heavy conveyor belts. They were cutting, making bolts and screws and all sorts of metal fixings. And they had conveyor belts to carry the swarf into these bins outside, and I would end up digging out they shut down for a week, and I was digging out all the swarf from underneath these conveyor belts. And I ended up with a longer term contract there. I worked there for a few months on the cleaning team. And one of the union guys tried to sort of get alongside me, and he said, listen, some people have been talking about you. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm a kid at this point. I wasn't even old enough to drive my own car, right? So I was 17 at the oldest. And, okay, why? I said, listen, we just want you to slow down a little bit. And he's trying to come along beside me. He's like, as the father, you're paid by the hour. Just if it takes you 15 minutes to walk from one end of the shed to the other, well, that's just how long it takes. And what he was doing was saying, you're being too productive.
You're making us all look bad.
You're making us all look bad.
Yep.
And that's exactly why they try and that bucket theory that you've got, they try and claw people back down. If you succeed having had the disadvantages or being from the minorities or whatever the particular thing is, if you succeed in spite of that, you're going to make the rest of us look bad because we're using that as our excuse for why we haven't succeeded.
Can I give you an example? It's same but different. Maybe it's a bit of a tangent, but the cult that I was in recently.
Oh, yes.
So I left the cult, and it was great at the time in the sense that it definitely got me work when I needed the work, but it made me so uncomfortable.
We're not naming this cult. This is not, to be clear, the CrossFit cult.
No. This is a different cult. Yeah. We can name it.
I don't know. They are a very active cult.
They are a very active cult, and there's probably people watching.
Yeah.
But if you've ever been in an MLM, it's very similar.
Yeah, it's not an MLM, but it's not that different either.
But it's definitely a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's
it's
fair.
definitely a Ponzi scheme.
It's a profitable Ponzi scheme for the people that get in early, as most of these things are.
Yes.
Yeah.
But look, to be fair, I did get work out of it.
Yeah.
But as always with these things, you have a group of people who have nothing else in common other than the fact that they're all small business owners.
Yeah.
And there's personalities and there's egos and there's clashes.
Mm-hmm.
And that unfortunately happened in our group pretty quick. 7 months in, things started to get a bit weird. And I go out of my way to be everyone's mate until there's a reason not to be.
Sure.
And I can see these people coming a mile away. They try to kind of pull you into their circle, into their bucket, if you will.
Yeah.
And they'll say things just like they'll test the water with you and just see what your reaction is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's crazy. Yeah. And as I've said before in this podcast, I never share my politics.
Yeah.
Never. I don't tell people anything unless they explicitly ask me.
Yeah.
And then on the other side,
it's a good thing there's nothing on the internet. Like
no.
they couldn't Google you and find out
don't
anything
Google
bad.
me.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how few people do Google you.
Yeah.
Like I think most people just take you at face value because most people are normal. Anyway, but I'll get to that in a second. And then on the other side, there's the other people who are like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And I could see the divide happening. I was like, I don't like it. Anyway, went to there was one scenario where things just got a bit ugly. And as I do, I just went, hey, that's not on. That's not on. And I said the thing that you're not meant to say, which is like, standing up for someone.
Yeah.
And I said, you guys don't have to get along, but that speaking out like that about someone, completely inappropriate.
Yeah.
And that put a target on my back.
Yeah.
And then things just got a bit weird and ugly. Anyway, I decided, you know what, guys? I'm out. I don't need this.
In my
Do
life.
not need this drama.
Yeah.
Because I was getting phone calls like, you know, oh, I need to talk about this. And, oh, did you see this? I don't want to be a 15-year-old gossiping.
Yeah,
I don't.
Mummy and Daddy are fighting again.
Yeah.
Like,
and,
come on.
like to the point where G's like, seriously?
Yeah.
And I fluffed some feathers and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go. So I left.
Did you activate some people's arms?
Oh, I don't even mean to do it. It just happens. I just rock up. Anyway, so I left the cult, which is the worst thing you can do because then the cult seeks revenge on you.
And they've now got a common enemy.
So what the cult did, I left on good terms, by the way. Thank you so much, everyone. Wish you all the best. You know, unfortunately, I can't come anymore, whatever. With it didn't even take a week. One of the nasty ones found my stuff on Google, like found the article about me on Google, circulated that, and was gossiping about me. Now, she made a bit of a silly move.
Yeah.
Because she was gossiping about me in a room where someone who's a very good friend of mine also happened to be and she did not know. And this person recorded that and gave it to me.
Yeah.
And so I rang that person up who didn't know that I knew that she'd been doing this. Yeah. And I was like, how are you going? La la. And I said, I just wanted to talk to you about something. And then I went, I'm just going to play this for you. Her face. Her face. I was like, what I find interesting about this is your business, in your title, you have the word trust.
Yeah.
And you talk about authenticity and being moral. Can you explain to me which part of that was any of those?
How does that fit? Yeah, how does this fit?
When I say, like, if she could have been swallowed up by the earth, she was praying for it.
You don't get those sorts of moments often in life. You've got to enjoy the ones that you get.
I did.
You know?
I enjoyed it. I did. I really did. I'll admit it.
Right.
Anyway, and she didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to apologize and she was really embarrassed. And this is what you do with those kind of people. You have to embarrass them. But yeah, this is what happens with the cult. Once you leave, so it's like all the people who are leaving the left.
Yeah,
now
correct.
all
That's
of a sudden,
what they're experiencing.
even though that they're on, you know, most of the same side with a lot of the issues, maybe it's the trans issue that's too far or whatever, but because they're not 100% in, persona non
Look
grata.
what they do to detransitioners.
Yeah.
Like that is case in point.
Oh, 100%.
They I mean, talk about erasing people.
Yeah.
They genuinely try and pretend that detransitioners don't exist. It's a right-wing myth.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't happen. No one detransitions. They absolutely do, and they get treated horribly, often by both sides, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And they get stuck in a no man's land.
I have a deep empathy for anyone who's detransitioned because I cannot even imagine if you've taken all the hormones and maybe you've done things to your body and whatnot, like that's a life sentence.
So years and years ago, a sort of traveling preacher came to Australia, and he had been on the transition route back in the 80s.
Yeah, wow, okay.
One of the early ones, or it might have been 90s, and very effeminate still, and started taking the hormones relatively early and never really had a proper puberty, and like just their whole body was jacked up from it. And they'd then detransitioned and experienced this thing of, back then, especially if you're a transitioner, he grew up in the church and then he's transitioning. I regret to say lost most of his church friends, right? Not that I support transitioning, but I don't think you should be cutting people off, right? But people did. And then when when he detransitioned, he loses all of the new friends that welcomed him into their club. Oh, we love you so much.
You left the cult.
We accept you for who you are. Oh, you're detransitioning, persona non grata.
Yeah.
And managed to rebuild himself and went through obviously, really tough times with his mental health and all the rest of it, and then traveled the world and spoke about it. And this was at a time when I literally knew one person who was going trans.
Yeah.
And they were the uncle of a friend of mine at school, and I'd seen them like twice. Or uncle had become female and had the surgery and felt the need to wear the tightest of tights all of the time with very short tops so that you could see that they'd had the surgery. Like this was really important to them. But this was a really rare thing. You didn't come across this very much. And I sat there as at the time I would have been a teenager. Sitting there listening to this person talking, and they said this most wonderful thing. They said, "I'll ignore the consequences of your sin on you if you ignore the consequences of my sin on me."
Yeah.
And just basically going, let the sinless man cast the first stone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you may not have made the same mistakes that I made, but you are living in the consequences of your own actions and the consequences of your sins.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was a really beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
And I've got all the time in the world for people that are coming back from that. It is a cult. It is a toxic world to get sucked into. A lot of people do get sucked into it because they're desperate for love. They're desperate for acceptance.
Yeah.
They get promised the world if they go down that path. And then, of course, it doesn't work out that way. But what's really interesting to me as well is we've just seen the Greens in Queensland have to apologise to one of their co-founders, whose name escapes me right now. He was a co-founder of the Australian Greens. He was a founder of the Queensland Greens and a co-founder of the Australian Greens alongside Bob Brown.
We talked about this on the podcast ages ago. Remember when he got ousted?
Yeah, when he got ousted.
Yeah.
Correct, that's right. And the reason they threw him out of the party was because he was standing up against their transgender agenda. He said that a radical transgender lobby has taken over the party. What does this have to do with environmentalism? Asking the obvious questions, right? That anyone who is an elder and custodian of the Greens Party should be asking. He was thrown out. Well, they've now had to offer to readmit him. Now, I looked into this more deeply. I saw this for Monday and thought, oh, that's really interesting. I've looked into it more deeply since then. They're not apologising to him for being intolerant of his views. All they're saying is we didn't follow due process. They're not saying that they came to the wrong conclusion. They're saying that he was denied natural justice because he wasn't given the opportunity to respond in a particular procedural part of what happened.
So he's been reinstated and then has to go through the procedure again to maybe then be expelled? Is that what they're doing?
My assumption is that they're going to try and throw him out again, yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, I don't know that, but how can they let him stay in the party? If they're trying to make a point, if they're trying to be all virtuous and signal to the world how trans-inclusive they are, etc., how can they let him still be there?
Well, what's her name? Marine... I get it.
Faruqi?
It's Farquhar. Farquhar.
Lord Farquhar.
It will never not be that in my mind. I cannot not do it.
Marine Faruqi.
And I'm not doing it to be disrespectful. It's just that's what's in my brain, and I apologise. That's how it is. She put up a statement, which I read out the other day.
Yeah.
Basically saying that I'm not one for mincing my words. The Greens Party vote has stagnated. We are not winning in the way that we should, despite the fact that our policies do tackle the scale of ecological, economic and social crises that we face. That's a perfect example. You went too far. You've jumped the shark.
Yeah, correct.
And then all the little sycophants over here, like, look at this.
Oh, love you.
Fists, fire.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas miracle. It's just interesting.
Look, she's got 1,000 true fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many followers does she have?
It'd be more than 1,000.
61,000.
Yeah, obviously, amongst them there'll be people who are passionate and people who are not so much.
Such a hateful individual.
Well, it's really interesting to me that they can't see that branching out into all these new areas that do not fit within environmentalism is actually going to fracture their support base.
Yeah.
It's quite clear that they still haven't grasped that not everybody wants to ride the train to every new station that they come up with.
Yeah.
Some people got to the station where they were happy and they got off and they thought the train was going to stop, and then the train kept going, and there comes a point where they go, maybe that wasn't the train for me after all.
Well, I think there's also we were just talking about if you're intelligent, you're open. Even though you don't agree with it, you're open to entertaining other ideas, right?
That's what you can entertain an idea that you don't agree without agreeing with it. Yes.
And I often think that myself because I the more I learn, the more I study, the more I read, the more I feel like a dumbass.
Sure.
And that's what that's the most humbling part about further study is I'm like, God, I don't know anything. I know but a drop in the ocean.
That's just because of the sagacious chasm between us.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
I did learn the word sagacious though.
That's got to be on the mug.
And
we need sagacious chasm. It's got to be on the mug.
And lumpen proletariat.
Honestly, that one comes back to me. Of all of the words we've ever done, that one comes back to me randomly.
The only one I remember. I don't remember any of the others.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah,
and you got me on that one
yeah,
too. That one hurt. That one. I think that's why I remember it. That hurt when you pulled that out. That was mine. I was all over that, and I just didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, why was I saying that? And that's something that I've realized. Like, I'm just thirsty for knowledge. I cannot get enough. I keep acquiring books. I keep reading things. I keep Googling things. And I think that's where we should all be. Like, I mean, I have the thing that I use as my foundation and my anchor are my values. Like we talked about values extensively. Yeah. And I actually really want to do a new values workshop. Yeah. I don't know if that's something that you Oddies would be into, but the first time I did it, it went really well. And I had such an amazing feedback from it because people were like, I've never thought about this in my life, Carly.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And my saying is that if you don't have your own values, you'll instantly attach yourself to someone else's because that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
That's your anchor. So like, whilst I have that anchor of, right and wrong, morality, all these different ideas pop up and I go, well, I run them against that first.
Yeah.
I'm like, where do they sit with my values?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I'm open to changing my mind, provided that they don't push my boundaries.
Yeah. Whereas I'm more like, where does that sit with my wallet? Like,
that also helps.
Yeah. I mean, value. That's yeah.
But I remember this wokeness stuff when it first started popping up. When I first started becoming really aware of it, all I could think of is like, it just smacked to me like a money grab. That's all I could think of. Isn't that really cynical?
But almost all of this stuff is.
Yeah.
Like the people who are really passionate about climate change are all making a fortune out of climate
100%.
change. The people passionate about transgenderism making a fortune out of it. No wonder surgeons, are all in support of transgenderism and surgery as a solution for a mental health problem.
Yep.
Of course they are. They get paid every single time it happens.
Yeah. Changing the story.
Sure.
Because this literally just happened. You won't know about this. Former CFMEU boss has been arrested.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
So,
John Setka has been arrested. Why?
Okay, so it says he has been arrested and charged with allegedly sending threatening emails to a union administrator. The former leader of the union's powerful Victorian division was hit with the charges on Wednesday. He has been charged with 7 counts of using a telecom communications device to menace, harass and offend. That doesn't sound like John Setka.
Not at
that
all.
couldn't be the CFMEU.
No. I think,
they've got it wrong.
Innocent until proven guilty. I think obviously.
If you were going to have a face for a union boss, I mean,
okay,
stereotypes exist for a reason.
But John could also be a really fun guy to have a barbecue with.
I don't doubt that.
As a bloke to go around to his house and have a barbecue and have a chat.
He looks like a bloke's bloke.
For a couple of hours and then leave.
Yeah.
No problem. And the thing with unions, like any organised crime, they are, if you're in the club, they are wonderful to you.
Yeah.
Right? They really do look after their own. It's the viciousness with which they treat people who leave.
Yes.
And the violence with which they treat people who oppose them. And I mean, unions were built on violence. Unions came out during the Henry Ford days and then really flourished during sort of that era, the building of the not the Twin Towers, the building of, anyway, steel works and steel buildings and so forth.
Cool story.
The unions got really, really aggressive and really active.
Yeah.
And it was violent. They had the union breakers, which were paid by companies to go and break up picket lines and so forth, and they were violent. And then the unions themselves were incredibly violent. And people were killed if someone broke the strike and said, "No, I'm going to go to work. I'm happy with what we're being paid. I'm happy with how we're being treated." Some of those people ended up dead.
Yeah.
Right. It was full on. And that's what the union movement has kind of been born out of. And in my opinion, many unions still are kind of cut from that cloth.
Yeah, I think so. But no offense, John. I don't want to insult you because I don't want you to send your people after me. But sending a menacing email, are you stupid? Do you not know what a screenshot is? Do you not know what a digital footprint is?
The internet doesn't forget, right?
I'm just like, if you're going to do something like that, I would have thought organised crime was a little bit more organised. That just sounds like a dumb thing to do.
We haven't seen the evidence. He is innocent until proven guilty. That's sincerely the case.
Allegedly threatening, offensive and abusive emails.
And I mean, look, we were just talking about instances where some disgruntled person decides to try and get up somebody by laying charges and whatever. So let's just let the process work itself out. But yeah, I mean, John Setka, he oversaw a militant union, and I'm putting it nicely. He oversaw, essentially, the union became partnered with the government.
I love this. They've posted photos. They're talking about his arrest.
Yeah.
And they've blurred out his face.
And yet they've got a picture of his face elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
That makes a lot of sense.
That makes
no
sense.
Okay, so this is interesting to me. All right, so go back up. They've made him do the perp walk.
Mm-hmm.
Is this out the front of the police station or is this out the front of...
This is his apartment.
Okay, so they've tipped off the media and made him do a perp walk, which means that at a minimum, Victoria Police, if not the government themselves, wanted this media coverage.
Yeah.
Right? So that's an active decision. Something like that, menacing emails, you can summons them. You don't have to go in there and put handcuffs on them and march them out in front of the media.
They're making a statement.
To a waiting divvy van. Now, why are they making that statement? Is it just for their own internal purposes? Possibly.
Didn't something really terrible about the CFMEU just come out?
Well, they went into administration. There's all kinds
after that, just recently. literally like a week or so ago, it came out that they were still trying to do shit well after they've been.
Yes, there was something about that. I didn't look into that. That didn't sort of reach the level of being a story I wanted to spend.
Yeah, they were
time
trying to clean them out, and then the guy who was doing the clean out was also taking bribes or something like that. I can't remember, but.
Look, the whole thing's a mess. I've described them in the past as the militant arm of the Labor government under Daniel Andrews.
Yeah.
We know that Dan Andrews and the CFMEU had each other's back. We certainly saw that during COVID. Will this be the thing?
I don't even know the bloke. I've just been to his house for dinner. He just pays me under the table, but I don't even know the bloke.
Allegedly. We don't know that. We don't know that.
Please don't kill me.
Yes. But no, I mean, the whole place is a cesspit, and we see this every single, and we're going to watch this happen again in New York. Every time you get a socialist big government that is micromanaging and controlling every single part of society,
I have something to say about this, but yes.
You end up with a society that is constantly seeking its favour. You end up with this really unhealthy relationship. We saw that with the organised crime syndicates and gangs in LA previously that have been mostly, not totally, but were largely cleaned out. They're going to come roaring back. Every time, who said this? When you see, it was Ayn Rand said, when you see that the government deals in favours. Now, how did that quote go? Basically, the businesses no longer are trying to keep their customers happy. They're dealing in the people who profit deal not in goods but in favours. Yeah, and you end up with a government that basically, because it controls everything, it decides who wins and who loses in all forms of business. And so the only way to succeed is to be a sycophant.
Yeah.
And you end up with this proliferation of corruption and crime.
Okay, so I watched a really good YouTube video on this whole Zohran Mamdani and how he, as a socialist, has failed to understand how New York tax law works. So I'm not an economist, and I'm probably going to mince this up, but...
Yep, I'm not a gynecologist, but I'll look at it anyway.
What's New York's tax rate? I want to say migrating.
I don't even know.
It's not migrating. I'm thinking the wrong word. It starts with M. But basically, like, you have to reach a threshold, and then every dollar you earn after that threshold gets the new...
So it's a progressive tax system, same as what we
have.
They
used the word starting with M. I can't remember what it was. I wanted to say migrating. But anyway, so Zohran Mamdani has won on these promises of, cost of living, taxing billionaires and millionaires, blah, 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 blah. And so the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, has come out saying that she's not going to give him any funding.
Yep.
The free buses is dead on arrival because they can't afford it.
Yep.
And also the grocery store that he wants to start, conveniently, allegedly, is owned by his cousin.
Oh, that's
and it's all run down, and his cousin is going to sell it to the New York government for a cool sum of around $30 million.
Oh yeah. No,
Nothing says socialism like a little bit of corruption.
There's no corruption here. There's no conflict of interest.
And then, so this economist was talking about this with all of his policies. And so Trump's threatening to arrest him. Kathy Hochul has an election year coming up, so she can't be increasing taxes, otherwise that ruins her re-election bid.
Yeah.
And then you've got Zohran, who's already coming out literally the day of his election saying, give me more money.
Give me money. That was hilarious.
And then also, hey, my cousin's got a good shop. We can buy that from him for $30 million.
Oh, yeah, I know a bloke.
Yeah. Now with this whole tax thing, where he said he was going to tax the millionaires and billionaires. So for everyone that earns over $1 million, he was going to put the tax rate up. But the way their system works is that every dollar under $1 million is charged at this rate.
Yep.
Every dollar over $1 million would be charged at the next one. The problem is he thinks he's getting an extra 20. He's worked out the figures based on the whole million.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to get an extra $20,000 per millionaire in New York, which sounds like a lot of money. He's going to get 6 cents for every millionaire in New York. And they're working it out. And I was like, oh, this is perfect because now he's in big trouble. He got elected on the promise of cost of living, government grocery stores, free buses. And so far, it looks like he can't do any of them.
But he's not in trouble because politicians don't benefit from solving problems. They benefit from promising to solve problems.
No, he's going to be in trouble with his mob. Because when he, 3 years, 4 years, and he doesn't do anything.
No, he's a wonderful orator. He will turn this into his crusade against the big bad swamp that is stopping him from being able to deliver on all these wonderful promises that he made.
It's a swamp on their side, but not our side.
No. So both sides, the rhetoric on both sides is largely the same. You hang out on the extreme left, and they will tell you all about how biased the ABC is against the left and how they're just in the pocket of the right-wing parties and all that kind of nonsense, you'll hear the exact same complaints from the other side. Now, in my opinion, the left is mostly wrong.
Yeah.
Occasionally they're not, actually. It's not that the whole world is one way, but the left is mostly wrong about most of these things, but they can play the same games. And because it's being said on the other side, that kind of legitimizes it on theirs. So no, he'll turn around and say, well, this is the big capitalist machine trying to stop me from bringing in these wonderful, groundbreaking reforms that are going to lead the way towards America becoming socialist. He will step out of a complete failure as the mayor of New York into a presidential campaign in the next 8 to 12 years. He'll go straight from one to the other. Same as Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a community organizer, come senator, come president. Right? He's going to go from a nobody to a mayor of New York to maybe via senator, maybe not even, maybe just straight into president. And his promise is going to be, well, as president, I'm finally going to have the power to deliver for you all those things that the evil capitalist machine stopped me from delivering for you when I was mayor. No, from a messaging point of view, this is why I tell people, no matter how cynical you think you are about politics, you're not cynical enough.
Yeah.
Nothing is a problem. It's just a message.
Yeah.
Sorry to finish on such good news.
Do you think we're the Western world is definitely going to have a tango with socialism? Do you think we're going there?
I don't think so. Australia, the jury is out. I don't think so, but we are at risk. Like this is dangerous territory that we're in. And to be fair, it is dangerous territory everywhere. The UK, the pushback is so strong that yes, 4 years between now and the next election is a long time, and a lot can happen in 4 years. But honestly, short of Nigel Farage being assassinated, which obviously I hope doesn't happen, I don't see the government being able to win back the people that are so disenfranchised with them. That are delivering reform wins in all kinds of municipal elections and council elections. The UK has elections happening somewhere almost all the time. And over again, we're seeing reform. The polls are translating into the ballot box.
And same with One Nation.
One Nation here. Now they're not at the same. They don't have the same momentum. Right. They're at a different quantum. But boy, are they rising fast. And this is going to be one of the things putting a lot of pressure on Susan Lee and the Liberal Party today. Because if they don't abandon net zero, they've got a real problem on their hands in the form of One Nation. The US, I hate to say it, but it does depend on what happens at their next presidential election. If we see a JD Vance or a Marco Rubio or one of these sorts of people actually get up and take the Republican nomination. So that's step one. They have to be the nominee for the party. And then step two, actually win. I think at that point, socialism's dead for a generation.
Okay.
If that doesn't happen, we're in strife.
There's this like odious undertone of Gen Z embracing socialism at their age. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm talking like the late Gen Zs, the 28s and the 29s. I'm like, you guys should be growing out of this by now.
But we've talked about the fact that that's the generation that is lost because they grew up knowing nothing other than wokeness is the future, progressivism, etc.
Be a victim.
Be a victim. That's your strongest thing you can do in life is to be the biggest victim you can possibly be. Participation trophies. They never knew a world before that. That's the only world they've ever known. But they were too young to realise what a disaster it was going to be and turn away from it until after they'd committed. They've picked their path now, many of them. So that age gap, that mid-20s to mid-30s age bracket, they're in the deepest trouble. They're in the deepest shit. Because they've already committed. They've already made a bunch of life decisions that are very hard and very costly to reverse socially as well as financially and career-wise and self-wise, the sacrifice they would have to make to walk away from a lot of these beliefs now. But they were brought up under a worldview that is wrong and that younger generations are turning away from. So they will be lost. And I don't think we can use the polling amongst that particular group as a harbinger for what younger generations than them will continue to do. Because that's what has historically been the case. The assumption is if Gen Z is here, well then obviously Gen Alpha is going to be even further. Well, actually, no. Gen Alpha has proven that that's not the case at all. But that particular generation is the lost generation. That is where the worst and most lost of the bitter clingers are going to come from.
Do you know what's fascinating? We can probably end on this because we're at the 3-hour mark. There's a YouTube channel that I've become absolutely enamored with, and it's called Financial Audit. Do you know who Caleb Hammer is? Have you seen about this?
No.
So it's this guy, and he basically goes through people's finances,
Right.
and sees where they're making all these bad decisions and tries to help them.
Right.
And now call it good television.
Apparently, every single thumbnail has to have an expletive in it.
Yes. And interestingly, a lot of the people, these people volunteer to go on the show, by the way.
Yeah.
They're not, against their will.
Yeah.
They're not against their will. Have a look at the kind of people. And these are mostly Gen Z or young millennials. Like, very rarely does someone over 40 go on this show.
Sure.
Talking about their spending habits, talking about how they feel about the world. If there is any wonder why we are suffering, it is in these videos. The way they spend, the way they think.
Yeah.
There's a woman who has over $500,000 of debt because of Taylor Swift.
Join those dots for me.
Okay, so
because I knew her tickets were expensive.
So she has spent money traveling around. She reborrowed on her mortgage to go and watch Taylor as many times as possible, bought all the stuff, accumulated all this debt, and hasn't been paying her mortgage. And
that can lead to problems.
So, like, it just keeps going. Like, just when you think you understand these people, so this is the one I was starting to watch just before you arrived. This one is Trans Socialists Hate America. I'm going to play you something very quickly.
The first right-wing advancement that we have, the medical things that we have, the food that we can go eat. We can gorge ourselves on McDonald's. People couldn't do that 200 years ago. In terms of the dopamine, in terms of we are in the best period of humanity.
Companies weren't able to...
Oh, boy.
Come on, we're from Portland. What do you expect?
What have the poor little companies done to you?
Not to me. Not to me specifically.
You've been hit
but
by like 3 layoffs.
I have been. That is true. But money allows companies to. Yeah. It was.
It sucks. You landed though.
Like he
like they can never get their points out. And they're trying to communicate, and they're always like, but with fascism.
I know we jumped in the middle, and he's a bit bombastic. I take it that's kind of
that's
his
part
style.
of the show, yeah.
But they also knew that going in, so they can prepare for that.
Like, he has a huge channel. It's 2.65 million. This is not a small channel.
Yeah, but no, they clearly don't have clarity in their talking points and their angles.
They can't, and it's always like, oh, but fascism. And why I find this fascinating is, like, it is entertaining to watch, and there are moments where I'm like, that's too much of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
But the lefties always bring up their politics.
Yeah.
And they just say the talking point. They say the headline, Donald Trump's a fascist. And then Caleb's like, cool, let's talk about it. How's he a fascist?
Yeah.
You're still able to do this. You're still able to... No, but he's doing the thing.
We had a big protest and lots of people showed up saying that he was a fascist. That proves that he must be a fascist.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you call this television?
It's fascisnating.
It's fascisnating?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you call it? It's not television anymore, is it?
It's entertainment. And this is the perfect example of high conflict, high growth. So he's picked a format that pits him straight into a high conflict situation. This is why reality TV does so well, all that stuff. One, it's cheap to produce, but conflict is guaranteed. The whole setup is to create conflict, and for whatever reason, and I do not understand, genuinely, I do not understand this. These days, when I go to entertainment, I'm looking for peace.
Yeah.
But most people, I don't know how luxurious and amazing their lives must be. They go looking for conflict in entertainment. And this, he's delivering on that. I can see exactly why he would have a massive channel.
Like...
You say you drink 6 days a week, but then you party 3. What is the difference when we're partying?
We're like going to the clubs and like doing substances.
How expensive is this?
Only like $1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month? It's nothing, guys. What's in your savings?
A penny.
Okay, so what the happens if you get laid off tomorrow?
I got a 401k. Like, my friends that have been laid off or quit, they all just pulled out their 401k.
Then what's the point of having a 401k in your mind?
For when you need money.
No, it is not for when you need money. It is literally a tax advantage retirement account. You take it out of your 401k, you pay a 10% fee, and then taxes on any of the gains.
I can't just like put in my savings account, because if I put in my savings account and then we're at the bar and I need more money, just transfer it from my savings account or my second checking account to my bank account.
Like, that's what he's up against.
I'm actually going to defend her opinion on 401ks a little bit there.
I feel the same about super. But
Exactly. I think that's a government. I mean, it's literally a government-run slush fund. Look at what Albo's doing now. $1.4 trillion of Australian super funds now being invested into America to ingratiate himself with.
I disagree with super, but like, listen to the way they speak. They can't bring their ideas out, because it's like, and I'm not trying to have a crack. I'm not trying to paint these people as dumb. What they are is ill-informed.
Oh, yeah.
And what they have is a very superficial understanding of what they're trying to stand up against. And like I talked about the programming, and I don't believe that there's someone behind them with puppet strings, by the way, but it's like, this is a new thing. This is a new hot talking point.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you run with. Donald Trump's a fascist.
Yeah.
It's like, let's unpack it.
Can I make a point here, though? The shift that we're seeing between Gen Y and Gen Z, or progressively from your boomers downward, we saw a progression to more and more now focus, more and more immediate dopamine hit. I want my reward. I want my gratification immediately. What we're seeing from Gen Z down to Gen Alpha is they're now looking at the results of that, and they're actually looking further back in time. We've talked about this before. They're looking further back in time to see what works, because they're seeing my parents are divorced, their parents are divorced. I hate all of this whole family dynamic I grew up in. These people are miserable, and I never want to be one of them.
Yeah.
Let me look back in time to find someone who I think might have been happy.
Yeah.
Right? But what's happening as a result of that is they're looking further back in time for what they can find that is substantial. They're also thinking further forward in time, and they're less focused on this dopamine hit. This is why they're getting trades. This is why they're looking to get married younger, have more kids. These sorts of things that we're discovering about this generation. They're doing less drugs. They're drinking less alcohol, having less promiscuous sex. This is because they're actually preferring later. And Jimmy Carr does a wonderful routine on this. He's Jimmy Carr, comedian, but credit to him, along the way, he drops some absolute gems.
Oh, he does.
Some
He's
nuggets
brilliant.
of wisdom. And one of the things that he talks about is, someone from the audience says, what's your best piece of advice? And he says, prefer later.
Yeah.
And he makes the point, and obviously I am a believer in God, and I'm a Christian, I'm a believer in religion, but he's not. He makes an interesting point, though. He says, isn't that really what religion is about? It's about prefer later. In the case of religion, the afterlife.
Yeah.
But you are deferring gratification now for a reward later on, and whether you do that financially in your own finances and what have you, or you do it from a religious perspective for eternity, etc. Preferring later leads to better outcomes and actually leads to better happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is the shift that we're seeing as we went down the generations previously. They were becoming more and more now focused.
Yeah.
And I think the fundamental shift in Gen Alpha is they've seen the results of that, and they're saying, hang on, we need to think more about our future.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought I'd end the show with this, because I just got this notification. David Limbrick, 20,554 signatures supporting Castle Law will be tabled shortly.
That's amazing. Well done.
Yeah.
High five.
Well done. Go us.
No, go you.
Well,
I'm not going to take
team.
credit. Well, okay,
Team effort.
We did promote it, but your name's on that. Well done, you.
Yeah.
That is absolutely fantastic. Well done, Victoria, getting behind it and signing it. And well done to David Limbrick. We look forward to what you do with that in Parliament.
I like being a political thorn in their side.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting, because I am often doubted on your channel as having any intelligence.
Excuse me. There are a small number of people who
Did Roy
do
ever come
like
back?
I haven't seen him. No, I haven't seen him. Most people love you.
Yeah.
Including on my audience. Most of them love you.
You should.
And I think
will
with
force
good
you
reason.
to.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what you can do. So when people say, "Oh, it's not worth it," it's elected, not selected, not elected, and all this sort of stuff.
all that
You
nonsense.
can do stuff.
Yep.
You just have to do it the proper way.
Yep, you got to. There's a process. It's painful. Change is slower than we want it to be. But unless you plan on being dead soon, your choice is in 10 years' time. Do you want to be living in a better place or a worse one?
Yeah, and double down. Like, speak up, talk about things, get out there. This is a collective effort. Like, I didn't sign it 20,000 times.
Well, we're finishing on good news.
But it's a good. That's a nice way to finish the show.
This is a good news sandwich.
Yeah, that's a good. That's exactly
we started
it.
with
We
good
sandwiched
news. We
it.
finished with good news.
Excellent.
Well done. It's almost like we meant it.
Now we need a grift.
Oh, grifting, yes. Okay, so firstly, we've got new merch coming, or I've got new merch coming, but courtesy of Carlz and her amazing design skills. And I've got...
We have the Oddcast mug.
Well, the Oddcast mug. This is a piece of kit. This is nice with a TF on top of the hood, double-lined hood. That's amazing. That's a piece of kit. So we've got some good stuff coming. But if you want the stuff that we've already got, go to goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com. You'll also find the Oddcast merch there as well that you can get. And...
Buy my book.
Where do we find this? Because that's not
Buy
on
this at
goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com.
carlsjsoda.com. It's also in my Instagram bio. If you want to see what I've been talking about on this podcast for the last year, it's all in here. And I'm biased, obviously.
No.
But I actually think that if you have a daughter or you have a wife or you are around a woman, so that's everyone, this is actually very beneficial.
What if they're a skinny woman and not around a woman?
And skinny woman's.
I mean, talk about beauty standards and everything else. Like you just threw that one in
it
there.
took me a minute to sort of unpack what you're saying. I'm like, what? I think this is beneficial to have a read and a bit of understanding about what women are up against. And I'm not done with this, but the next thing for me is chicken in the noodle aisle. But anyway, carlzandtopher.com.
Coffee.
It's Kofi.
That thing.
Yeah. That's very helpful to us, and that's the best way to speak to us as well. So when people message us there, we can reply to you. We can get your stories, your inside tips, which is great because lots of people do send us tips. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, good stories.
Discord is coming. We're working on things.
Lots of stuff's coming. There is a lot going on behind the scenes. Carly has been very, very busy, and you will start to see the fruits of that soon. She's been busy for months, but we haven't been able to show it to you. But soon
so it's all coming.
Will.
It's all coming together. Anyway, on that note, piss off,
Bye.
go away, get out of here.
You're charming.
What does Isaac Butterfield say? He's like, good night, peace in the Middle East, my dick stinks, something like that. I can't remember what he says.
That is a very, I don't know, but if you said that, I'd have a lot more questions.
Yeah, we would have come up with something like, you know.
Well, I'm just
and in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good night.
I'm just going to stick with think free. Yeah, I know, but
we could do better.
But I'm not Isaac Butterfield.
Anyway, goodbye.
Bye.